A search was launched for the pocket books for 2014, and despite the diligent search, the pocket books could not be located. The SEP 13 clerk has deposed to an affidavit to that effect, to the effect that they couldn't find the pocket books dating to 2014.
Yes.
And that they could only find records from 2016. I've showed the affidavit to Mr. Tubani, and that is the reason why he asked me to address the issue. So in short, my lord, the pocket books cannot be found, stroke are no longer in existence.
Thank you, Your Lordship. We'll pack the issue of the pocket book, Your Lordship. However, it must be noted that the pocket book was not found.
Yes.
Furthermore, Your Lordship, would like to make an application that the evidence with regard to, unless the court correct me, if I recall, the court already made a decision in regard to that, but I was thinking yesterday that maybe if you can make an application that the evidence of Ma Kumalo be provisionally admitted, and if the state is not going to call Ma Kumalo, the defense would like to call Ma Kumalo, or we request the Honorable Court to call Ma Kumalo as the court witness, because the purpose of a witness is to come and assist the Honorable Court to come to a just decision. As the court pleases.
Yes.
That's all my submissions in regard to Makumalo, Your Lordship. If the court is, can allow me to proceed with my last 5 cross-examinations.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Lordship. Sir, it is correct that when you arrived at the scene for the first time, the BMW was there. The one you say PM, the BMW, the one you saw it on the screen.
The first time?
Yes, when you arrived for the first time.
Kuyiqiniso ukuthi ngenkathi nifika okokuqala laphayana iBM leya ukhulume ngayo yayikhona khona lapha endlini? No.
Okay, thank you. When you arrived for the second time, was the BMW there?
Nkathi simsenibuya kokwesibili nabuya ikhona?
Ayengakabikho.
No, it wasn't there.
Thank you. So when did you see the BMW and where?
Wayibona nini ke iBM lena futhi uyibona kuphi?
Ngahlangana nayo masingena esibhedlela, ngahlangana nayo egate esibhedlela.
At the gate of the hospital when we were driving into the hospital.
No, thank you for that. Sorry to waste time on that question, Your Lordship. I recall that he did answer it. Sir, how did the cap end up, the head, let me say the head, to make it easy for you. How did the head end up on the floor? If someone brought it there, and who was it?
Kwenzeka kanjani ke ukuthi isigqoko sibe phansi uma futhi kunomuntu owasilethayo kwenzeka kanjani? And someone brought it, who was it?
Who brought it?
Ubani oweza naso uma ngabe kunomuntu oweza naso kwakuubani?
Ngokusho kwalo mama esasihamba naye uMakhumalo wathi esalaba abantu abebezohlasela lapha.
According to Makhumalo, she alleged that it belonged to the people who came to attack there.
So the question is, I'm not sure if you answered it. Is it Makumalo who brought the cap, the hat? Is it Makumalo who brought the hat?
Bringing it where?
To show the witness, and then it was put on the floor, or it was the cap on the floor?
Wawuphansi vele noma uMakhumalo oweza naso isigqoko kwazonikhombisa sabekwa phansi futhi noma sasikuphi?
Sasiphansi isigqoko. uMakhumalo wasitshena ukuthi esalaba abantu bebezohlasela la esomunye wabo.
The head was on the floor. Makhumalo informed us that it belonged to one of the people or to one of those who came to attack.
It is correct that, I stand to be corrected, that when you testified yesterday, you said the head was in the dining room. Or what? What?
There is no such evidence on record with the greatest officer.
Yes.
Okay, Your Lordship, let me leave that question. When you arrived for the first time, where were the family members when at the scene of crime? Except Mr. Themba Kumar.
Kathi nifika okokuqala abomndeni babekuphi ngaphandleni kwakhe uThemba?
Kwathi base baphuthume esibhedlela.
He alleged that they had rushed to the hospital.
Okay, thank you. When you arrived for the second time, where were the family members?
Kathi senibuya
Except
ke
Mr. Kumalo.
kathi senibuya ke okwesibili babekuphi?
Ngithathe sibuya naye lo mama lo. Uye wayekhona sibuya naye uthini. Kwakungakabikho umuntu sekhona yena uThemba.
There was no one yet because when we came back with Makhumalo and Themba was the one who was there.
Thank you. And after you arrived at the scene by the house, after how many minutes did Sergeant Musia arrive?
Umsiya uzofika emuva kwemizuzu emingaki nifikile nina endlini?
Kwathatha isikhashanyana khona noma ngasakhumbula ukuthi how many minutes kodwa kwaba isikhathi ukuthi afike because kwakuzomela ukuthi siqale sifonele thina iCSC then iCSC bese iphinde ifonela bona le.
It took a little while, although I can't be exact and say how long it took, because upon our arrival, we would have had to call the CSC, and then the CSC would contact them.
Did he arrive before you make your statement or after you made your statement?
Umsiya wafika ngaphambilini kokuthi usenze statement sakho noma emuva kokuthi usenzile?
Nginokusibhala istatement bese ngishiya la makumele ngifake ama role player khona. So ngase ngiyibhalile lokhu okunye sekusota nje ukuthi ngisho ukuthi kufike ubani nobani nobani.
When you write a statement, or I write a statement, and then I leave out the portion where it involves the role players, and then when they arrive, it's only then that I include that so and so arrived.
Did your statement got commissioned before Musia arrived at the scene or after Musia arrived?
Ukomishina kwaso ke kwenziwa ngaphambilini kokuthi afike umsiya noma emuva kokuthi umsiya sefikile?
Why say ifikile mase ngisicommission?
When it was commissioned, he had already arrived.
Thank you, sir. So your statement was commissioned 10 o'clock, correct?
So sa commissioner ngo 10.
Angazi noma nga explain yini indaba ye commissioner lapha naleso sikhathi esiwu10.
I don't know whether I'm able to explain, my lord, with regards to the commissioning as well as the time 10 o'clock.
I don't have a problem for you to explain, but yesterday you testified that you commissioned at 10 o'clock. You can
Anginankinga ke nawe ngokuthi uchazeke kodwa ke izolo kubufakazi bakho u10 ucommissioner kwaso kwenziwa ngo10.
No, kuyisikhathi engaqala ngaso ukubhala istatement sami.
No, 10 is the time when I started to write my statement.
Sir, remember yesterday when you were giving your statement in order for you to look at it? Because you didn't recall the time and you said it was commissioned at 10.
Uyakhumbula izolo nkathi unikezwa istatement sakho ukuthi usibhekeke ngoba ubungasikhumbuli isikhathi wase uthi ke ucommissioner kwaso kwenziwa ngo10.
Yeah, ngiyakhumbula.
Yes, I do remember.
So it means that Sergeant Musia arrived before 10 according to you, as you commissioned the statement at 10.
Uma ke sithatha lokho kushoyo ke kusho ukuthi lokho uSergeant Msiya wafika ngaphambi ko10 ngoba wena istatement sakho sakommissionwa ngo10.
According to you, that Sergeant arrived before 10.
Uma nje sithatha lokho okushiwo kuwena ke ukuthi akubeke Msiya wafika phambi ko10.
Yena wayeseshayile u10.
It was already after 10.
You know, I'm sorry for asking you this long question, but I have a reason why. Because Sergeant Musia told the court that he arrived after 12 p.m.
Ngoba ke Sergeant Msiya yena ke kuba ufakazi utshelele enkantolo ukuthi yena wafika emuva ko12. Okay.
Because you further testified that there was no one in the house, but Sergeant Musia testified that when he arrived, he suggested that the family members move into another bedroom.
Wena ke ngoba ufakazi uthe ngathi nifika kwakungenamuntu kodwa ke yena ke Msiya uthe wathi uma ngaba efika wabacela kabomndeni ukuthi abaye kwelinye ikamera.
Umsiya wafica thina endlini. Ifamily ifika mayefika Umsiya kwafika obrigadier Ndlovu with the provincial or tactical team.
Okay, when Msiya arrived, he found us in the house, and then Brigadier Ndlovu as well as this is now where the provincial team arrived.
Ungakabi nesikhathi singakanani ke Umsiya efikile kwafika le team. That is when Umsiya, I think Captain Zwane wayesasa busy safuna ukumtshengisa izinto ezithile ezini.
Okay. It was not long after Msiya had arrived and then the team arrived, and at that time Captain Zwane still wanted to show him things. Yebo.
Then thina sacela ukuthi we can be excused, then kuzoqhubeka nayo team iphathi.
Then we were then requested, or we were then told that we could now be excused. The team was now going to take over.
I think if family abisifika ke lapho ngobuningi bayo.
I think that is when the family then arrived in their numbers.
But mina angiyibonanga ifamily, angibazi ke nabantu bakhona, angazi noma babe khona ngaphandle angibazi.
I didn't see the family, and the other thing is I don't know the family members. I don't know whether they were outside because I don't know them.
Sir, I don't want to prolong this cross-examination. I think I'll reserve some of the meat to advocate for accused number 5. The reason why I'm asking you this question because it is Sergeant Musia who testified that when he arrived, he found the family members in the house, which was a crime scene. Hence, he suggests that they must move in another house, in another room, and also there were children there.
Angifisi ke ukuthi ngenze nje okude ke imibuzo ngizayekela ke ku meli kaMangala lesihlanu kodwa ke imbanga lokuthi ngikubuze lo mbuzo ngoba Umsiya ngoba ufakazi wathi ke wafica ke ifamily ikhona lapho wabe seyicela ke ukuthi ayiye kwelinye ikamera ngoba kwakuyi crime scene leyo.
Actually ngase ngingasekho ke mina lapho.
It means that I was not there anymore, or I was not there at that time when he did that.
Yes.
If you recall, in your testimony, you said when you arrived first time, the head and the projectile were there. Actually, not the projectile. You said the head and the crash were there. Correct?
Ubufakazi bakho ushilo-ke ukuthi nkathi nifika okokuqala isigqoko kanye nayo i-crash zazikhona lapho.
Yebo zazikhona.
That's correct?
That was only things you saw, say?
Izokuphela izinto wayibona lezo,
Amakani.
as well as the cans.
Okay, thank you, yes, the cans. So, I put it to you that, according to you, when you arrived, there was no blood.
Ngokusho kwakho-ke ukuthi nkathi nifika
According to your
nina-ke
testimony.
igazi lalingekho.
Yegazi yazi salibona kahle sesibuye kwesithu ukuthi likhona but akusiyigazi ukuthi uthiwa nje ma dots nje egazi ayekho.
With regards to the blood, we saw the blood when we came back for the second time. And it was not to say that it was a blood, but some just spots of blood here and there.
Where did you see the blood?
Kwakukuphi nendawo?
Ngathi ayese dining room or between dining room and ngaleli kitchen lakhona le.
Between the dining room and the kitchen.
Yeah. Where in the dining room?
Kuphi nendawo khona dining room?
Phansi.
On the floor?
It's fine, sir, on the floor. Where precisely? Where precisely on the floor? Let's say this court is a dining room. Where precisely? Which side of the dining room and where?
Kuphi khona siyakuzwa-ke uthi kuse dining room asithi-ke le gumbi esikulona-ke kuse dining room kuphi asithi ngakuluphi uhlangothi.
Let me lead you, if the court is a cross-examination anyway. Behind what and where?
Emuva kwani mhlasimbe kuphi?
Uma ungena lapha ufika ungena ekitchen then uma ujikela ngapha kwa right sekuyi sitting room ini dining room. Khona nje lapho phansi.
If you go inside the house, you go in through the kitchen, and then as you turn right, you go to the dining room. So that just there on the floor.
So there's no blood in the kitchen?
Ekitchen lalingekho.
Noma ngingasenaso isiqiniseko sakhona kodwa ya engalibona ngathi yolo lamadosi khona lapho mawujikela lapha edining room.
Although I'm not certain about that, but the blood that I can remember are the spots that I referred to in the dining room.
No further question, Your Lordship. I'd just like to inform the court, I just got the transcript today, Your Lordship.
Come again?
We just got them the transcript today. They were returned to the sender.
Advocate Chololo.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Mteto, let's get this properly now. What was your highest standard of education when you attended the crime scene?
Nkathi uya lapha yana ngaleli langa kule ndawo yesehlakalo ngokwesikole wawufunde wayophela kuphi noma wafinyelela kuphi make ama qualification
Ngizama ukuphendula kahle angiboni ukuthi kuzosizana ukufunda kwami nokungafundi kwami kuleli cala khona kuzokusiza.
I'm trying to answer properly. I don't see as to how it's going to assist us, as to how my level of education is going to assist us in this matter. Is it going to assist us?
Can you answer the question, please?
I have answered.
Yes. Mr. Mteto, when questions are asked, you answer them. If you don't know, you say, I don't know. If you don't want to answer, you say, I don't want to answer. We should not waste time.
Uma ngabe ke ubuzwa umbuzo ke uyawuphendula ke uma ngabe ungawazi usho ukuthi awazi uma ngabe uthi kuyisifiso sakho ke ukuthi awufisi uphendula usho ke ekuthini nje kunokuthi nje uchitha isikhathi.
Angithandi ukuphendula.
I would like not to answer it.
And how many years of experience in the SAPS did you have when you attended the crime scene?
Ngaleli langa ke uya khona kuyona ke I-crime scene wawuse unesikhathi esingakanani usebenzela amaphoyisa?
Ngineminyaka
5 years.
Can you speak aloud, please?
Ngiyacela ukuthi uphumele phezulu.
Ngineminyaka 5.
I had 5 years of experience.
And did I get it correct that your rank was constable?
Isikhundla sakho kwaku constable.
Yebo.
Yes.
And now are you still a constable?
Use uyena namanje constable?
Cha.
No.
What's your rank now?
Sinike isikhundla sakho manje.
Sergeant.
I'm a sergeant.
So when you attended the crime scene, you were a junior officer because you were 5 years.
Wawu junior officer ngoba uneminyaka eyi5 usemaphoyiseni ngaleso sikhathi leso.
Yebo.
Yes.
And then you said you attended the crime scene together with Constable Matebula. Am I correct?
Uthe wawuhamba noMathebula ngaleli langa?
Yebo.
That's correct.
What was his rank?
Yena ke esakhe isikhundla noma irank yayithini?
Naye constable.
He was also a constable.
So this crime scene was attended by 2 constables.
Kusho ukuthi le crime scene lena ke kwaya ama constable amabili.
Yebo.
Yes.
And then you said, okay, can you just rephrase, my lord? You know, Mr. Mtetwa, I want us to tell us the level of experience and qualifications you had at that time, so that we can be able to see if you were able to attend the crime scene or whether you were a competent person to attend the crime scene. We know your rank now. Did you have any other qualification regarding the attendance of the crime scene?
I think that's about 3 questions. Can you break them down, please? That's very long. Can you break them down?
Did you have any qualifications regarding the crime scene?
Ngalesa sikhathi ke ngaba ama qualification wawunawo avumelayo ukuthi ungaya kuyona i-crime scene.
Not allowing, regarding just knowledge, additional knowledge, qualifications regarding crime scene.
Ay ngokutrainwa kwami lesiphoyiseni babe ngifundisile ukuthi ngiattenda kanjani i-crime scene.
According to how I was taught and how I was trained at the police, in the police, I was told as to how to attend to a crime scene.
Okay, in that training, what did you have? Did you have a certificate, a diploma, or 1-week training? What type of the training they've offered you?
Bakunikezani ke noma watholani kuleyo training i-certificate, i-diploma?
Angithi mawuqeda ukutrain esiphoyiseni uthola i-certificate sakho.
Once you have completed your training in the police, you get your certificate.
So what did they give you
Bakunikani ke
when you completed that training?
eqedeni kwakho ke i-training leyo.
Certificate sesiphoyisa ukuthi ngiqeqeshiwe ukuba leyiphoyisa.
A certificate of competency in the police that I had been trained.
Okay. So, in other words, you knew what was expected of you to do at the crime scene.
Kusho ukuthi ke wawazi ukuthi yini eyayilindeleke kuwena ukuthi kufanele ukuthi wenzeni kwi-crime scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Furthermore, you testified that it was 2 of you who attended the crime scene. Do you still maintain that?
Usasho ke
For the
namanje
first time, it was you, Mtetwa and Matebula, who arrived first at the crime scene.
you Mtetwa and Matebula. Okay. Kwakuwena ne ushilo koqala ukuthi noma usamile kulento oyikhulumile eqala ukuthi koqala nje nifika lapho kwakuwena noMathebula kusho ukuthi nani babili ngenkathi nifika lapho yana usamile kulokho.
Yebo kwakuyimina noMathebula.
That is correct. It was myself and Matebula.
And at all reasonable time, before the other police arrived, it was only 2 of you.
Futhi ngaso sonke isikhathi ngaphambilini kokuthi kufika amanye amaphoyisa kwakuyinina nababili nje kuphela. Ngaphambilini kokuthi kufika abanye kwakuyinina nje kuphela ababekhona noma ababelapha yana kwi-crime scene. Ngaphambi kokuthi kufika amanye
abangamaphoyisa.
Yes.
Yebo kwakuyithina.
That is correct. It was the 2 of us.
Do you know Constable Mark Sibia,
Uyamazi uConstable Mark Sibia
who was a student constable?
waye student constable yenake.
Yebo ngiyamkhumbula ngamazi.
Yes, I remember him now. I know him.
Yeah, he made a statement and he said he attended the crime scene. He received.
Mr. Mtetwa, yeah, I realize it maybe you don't hear yourself. Your voice is very low. I'm struggling to hear you.
Ukukhulumela phansi ke mfethu.
So try to raise it.
Yacela ukuthi ukhuphule nje ukukhuluma.
The other thing that may happen if you continue at that volume is that what you are saying may not get recorded, and it causes a problem when transcription is done and when other issues are probed, which should be on the record.
Lokho ke kuzobangela ukuthi ke njengoba ubona ke lapho ukuthi angeke kwaze ukuthi liqosheke ke iphimbo lakho futhi ke uma ngabe sekufanele nje ukuthi ikhona lento efanele yolalelwa angeke uzwisise kahle uma ngabe uqhubeka ke ukuthi ukhulumele phansi uyacelwa ukuthi uphakamise. My apologies.
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. A student constable by the name of Mark Sibia made a statement and he said on Sunday, 26 October.
Before we go to that,
Sorry,
whom did you say you remember seeing?
Uthe konje ubani lo okhumbulayo uthi wambona?
Ubengibuza ukuthi ngiyakhumbula yini ulantingana uSibiya ngathi yebo sengiyamkhumbula.
I was asked if I remember Sibiya Malot, and then I confirmed that yes, I do remember him.
All right.
Thank you, my lord. Now that you recall, was he with you?
Wayekanye nani?
Yes, babe nathi.
Yes, they were with us.
And who else?
Kanye nabani?
Noma ngasamkhumbuli kahle kodwa kwakuwuntombazane babe ngama student ngaleso sikhathi bona angisakhumbuli noma kwakuwumtshalo or kwakubani kodwa sengiyamkhumbula mayisesho uSibiya.
Although I can't remember properly, but it was a female. I don't know whether it was Mchali, but now that Sibiya has been mentioned, I'm able to remember.
Okay. So now let's correct what you said yesterday. It was not the 2 officers who attended the crime scene with you, but it was 4.
Asilungiseke lokho okushilo izolo okusho ukuthi ke kwakungasini yini nobabini kuphela ngamanye amagama wena nomathebula kodwa nani u4.
He kodwa nginesizathu ukuthi waye ngabafaka ngoba babe ngama student ngaleso sikhathi bona. Even nokushayela imoto babe ngakavumeleki ukuthi bashayele.
I have a reason, or I had a reason why I did not mention them, my lord, because they were students at the time, and even with regards to driving the vehicle, they were not allowed or permitted at the time to drive a vehicle.
You know what? Don't rush. I said yesterday you said you were 2. Now we're rectifying that it was not the 2 officers who attended the crime scene with you, but it was 4. Yes or no?
Ngizocela ke ukuthi ungajahile ngoba izolo ke uthe nani u2 kodwa ke manje sesiyathola ke ukuthi nani u4 yebo noma cha.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And further to that, you said you had to leave the house because according to you it's not the crime scene. You had to leave the house and go to the police station. Am I correct? Sorry, not police station, but the clinic or hospital. Hospital, yes, hospital.
Okunye futhi ke okushilo ukuthi nina phoqeka ke ukuthi nikushiye khona lapho ngoba ngokusho kwakho ke bekungasiyona i-crime scene. Nisuke lapho nihambe niye esibhedlela.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And all these 4 police officers, they've made the statements, including yourself, and you say you received a complaint of a shooting in progress, and then you rushed to the scene. Am I correct?
Omaneke lamaphoyisa ke nawe futhi ke nithi kwi-statement ezeni enibhalileke ukuthi sathola ke sorry sathola ke umbiko ukuthi kune shooting in progress sahamba saya khona kwisini kunjalo.
Yebo kunjalo.
That is correct.
If a complaint says there is a shooting in progress, is that not an offense committed? Shooting.
Uma ngabe ke i-complaint lena enitholile ithi ke kune shooting in progress, ingabe lokho akusiyona crime leyo ukuthi nje kuye kwadutshula khona lapho?
Yi crime.
It is.
And it involves what?
Inani phakathi.
If you can describe to us, what is a shooting?
Uma ungasichazela nje ngokudubula ke i-involve noma ifakani phakathi?
Ifake isibhamu.
A firearm.
Okay. So it means there will be a firing of shots.
Usho ukuthi kwadutshulwa ke lapho.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And then yet when you arrived at the crime scene, it did not ring to you that area it's a crime scene because shots had been fired in this place.
Mase nina nifika ke khona lapho akukho nje ukunitshela noma okushoyo kunina ukuthi leya ndawo leyana ke i-crime scene ngoba kudutshulwe noma kwadutshulwa khona lapho.
Iphi yona indawo siyikhonjiswa ubani?
Which place and who pointed the place out to us?
Listen here, you are not asking me question. Your duty is to answer my questions, and that's what I want you to do.
Okwakho ke ukuthi uphendule ke imibuzo iloko engifisa ke ukuthi ukwenza ukuthi ke ungibuze imibuzo.
Mr. Mthethwa, I think we should make this simpler. Sometimes when you give your answers, they are in the form of retorts. You are sort of jibing back at the person asking the question. The current example, you were asked about whether the fact that shots had been fired did not render that place to be a crime scene. And your answer or your retort was which one, and who pointed it to me. A useful answer in that scenario could have been either I didn't know which one or where is the crime scene, or no one had pointed anything out to me, instead of saying who pointed it out to me. Because you will remember that much as you were not there when the offense was committed, all of us were also not present. Now, if you give that question to Advocate Msholo, she's looking for the answer just like you are looking for an answer. And it will help us to be faster if you coin your responses in the form of answers and not retorts and not asking questions back. You understand?
Kuzosiza ke ukuthi indlela ophendula ngayo ke ukuthi ke impendulo zakho ke uyihlanganise ke uma sisebenzisa isibonelo nje salo mbuzo obuziwe ke wase wena futhi ubuyisela umbuzo awuphendula uthi wena ke yiphi yona crime scene ngangikhonjiswe ubani mhlasimbe uma ngabe ubutheke ngangingazi ukuthi yiphi futhi kwakungenamuntu owayengikhombisile kungasiza ke lokho ukuthi sibe nenqubekela phambili uma ungalungisa nje indlela ophendula ngayo kunokuthi nje uma ubuza umbuzo wena uphinde futhi ubuyisele umbuzo kodwa awunikezi ngempendulo.
That is why even Mr. Tobane yesterday was asking you questions and you were asking questions back or even retorting.
Na izolo futhi ke kwenzile lokho nkathi ke ubuzwa uyena ke umnumzana uThobane uthi uma ngabe kubuza imibuzo ungaphenduli ke wena kodwa uphinde ubuyisela umbuzo kuyena.
Remember that you are here not as a man from the street, you are here representing the South African Police Service.
Ukhumbuleke ukuthi ukuba khona kwakho lana akuthathwanga nje umuntu estradini wakhona la kodwa ke ula egameni lamaphoyisa aseningizimu Afrika. Okunye ke futhi my apologies not okunye bengakushonga umehlulelo bekushilo ngaphambilini ukuthi ke nanjengo advocate Mshololo akulindele ukuthi ke ulindele impendulo ngoba ke nanjengoba nawe wawungekho nkathi lokho yakwenzeka nathi sonke ke njengoba silana sasingekho ke.
I represent the judiciary, they represent their profession as advocates.
Umehluleli lohlezi laphana abameli ke laba umshushisi kanye futhi labameli abamele abamangalela.
We all have a duty to show professionalism in what we are doing.
Sonke ke sifanele sibonakalise ke elona izinga eliphezulu ke ngomsebenzi wethu ke futhi ngalokho esikwenzayo.
We also have to show respect to each other.
Futhi ke sihloniphane sonke.
Even where our roles are at counter purposes or are at a clash.
Nala futhi khona ke kubonakala ukuthi khona ukungqubuzana noma ukushayisana ke.
You understand?
Kuyezwakala.
Yebo ngiyeza ngizozama mhlawumbe indlela engikhuluma ngayo kodwa ngizozama ngiyeza.
Yes, I hear my Lord. Maybe it's the way in which I speak, but I do hear and I will try.
Yeah, I like what you are saying. We are also trying, all of us. We've been trying ever since, and let us keep on trying.
Thank you, my Lord. Maybe before, can I continue, my Lord?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe before I continue with my questions, have you testified in court before regarding any crime scene that we have attended or any cases that we have attended?
Ngaphambilini kokuthi ngiqhubekeke ngicela ukubuza ukuthi usuke ngaphambilini yini wafakaza enkantolo mayelana nama crime scene osuke waya kuwona?
Yeah.
Yes.
In lower courts or in high courts?
Kwinkantolo ephakeme noma ke kuma singothi ke ama-magistrate court.
Nase high court ngake ngaya.
Even at the high court, I've been.
So let's do the same as you were giving answers in that court.
Asenze ke ngandlela ke owenze ngayo kuleyo nkantolo leyo.
I was now at the crime scene, which is the house. But from your evidence, it's not the crime scene.
Ngise laphayana ke endlini ke noma kwi crime scene leyana ekumuzi kodwa ke ngokusho kwakho wena ke kwakungasiyona I crime scene.
Then my question was, after having heard that shots had been fired or a shooting had taken place in that house or in that place, did it not ring into your mind that that surely was then a crime scene as a result of that?
Emuva kokuthi senathola ke complaint noma umbiko ke ukuthi angithi uthe uma uchaza wathi nathola umbiko othi kune shooting in progress. Emuva kokuthi nikuzwile ke lokho seniyafika ke khona lapha yana akukho yini nje okushoyo ke emqondweni ukuthi ke manje lena ke ngenxa yalokho sekuyi crime scene ke lendlu.
Kwaba khona lokho okwasho emqondweni wami ukuthi I crime scene kodwa ngenxa yokuthi angitholanga umuntu ozongipoint ozongikhomba ukuthi kuphi kwenzakaleni kuphi ephakathi egcekeni noma endlini kwakungekho ukuthi ngizothi I crime scene iyona yipi.
Yes, it rang in my mind that it was a crime scene, but because of the fact that there was no one who gave me information as to what had exactly happened, whether it happened inside the yard or in the yard or inside the house.
Okay. But you were responding to the complaint that there had been a shooting at house number 13511, and that is where you attended to.
Kodwa ke ukuba khona la kwenu lapho kwakusemuva kokuthi ke nathola I complaint ethi kwakune shooting eyayikhona ke kwa 13511.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah. So what more did you want? Because you had responded to the complaint that there had been a shooting incident at house so and so, and you were there.
Yini ke okunye enanikufuna ke ngoba ke notholile umbiko ke ufikile umbiko wabe umbiko ufika unekheli ukuthi kwa 13511 ekuhlwa nongo. Yini ke okunye enanifuna?
Angazi noma ngingakhona yini ukuchaza kancane.
I don't know whether I'm able to just explain a bit.
Yes.
Yes.
Yebo.
Ukufika kwethu lapha ya kungekho umuntu osichazela ukuthi kwenzakaleni. Even noma ngabe kuthiwa khona umuntu odutshiliwe akekho mhlambe la.
Okay. Upon our arrival there, and with no one being there to explain to us as to what had happened, and even if it was alleged that someone had been shot, but that person wasn't there or wasn't around, yebo.
Kwasenza sadideka nasayitshela ukuthi mhlambe if ngoba ethi lo muntu basesibhedlela abantu abanolwazi lokuthi kwenzakaleni.
It also made us confused, or it also confused us, because this very same person informed us that the people with information or the people with the knowledge were at the hospital.
Okay.
So okwafika emqondweni wethu ngaleso sikhathi kwakuwukuthi ake siye esibhedlela sithole ukuthi kwenzakaleni. Ingakho sasesibuya fast sesibona ukuthi isini le.
What then came to our minds was that let us quickly rush to the hospital and get to know or to find out as to what exactly happened, which is then the reason why we quickly rushed back, because it was only then that we realized that it was a sin.
Okay. It's fine. Let's move on. You have been told that there had been a shooting incident. When you arrived in that place wherein a shooting incident had been reported, as officers, police officers, did you inspect any exhibits in that house?
Nitholileke noma I-complaint ifikileke kunina ukuthi ke kudutshuliwe khona laphayana futhi ke nanjengamaphoyisa ke ingaba nahlola yini noma na inspector ke indlu leyana nibheke ukuthi ukhona yini ubufakazi obungatholakala noma eningabuthola.
Sayi inspector indlu sesibuya okwesibili.
We inspected the house upon our second return.
No, for the first time.
Ngibuza ke mina ke
First
okokuqala.
time, first police officers who arrived at the crime scene, 4 police officers, trained constable, Mthethwa, and student constable.
Ngikhuluma mina ke ngalela hlandla lokuqala ke nifika okokuqala futhi ke nama niba u4.
Did you check if there were any exhibits in the shooting incident?
Nabheka yini ukuthi bukhona ubufakazi obukhona emuva kokuthi nitsheliwe noma na umbiko wafika ke ukuthi kwadutshulwa
Before you left to hospital?
ngaphambilini kokuthi nithathe isinqumo sokuthi anihambe ke niye esibhedlela?
Hayi okokuqala sikaze sicheck sangena nje ukubheka endlini.
No, during the first time, my lord, we did not check. We just went into the house.
And then when you were now taking the decision to leave the crime scene, now we know that it was a crime scene. Are we in agreement now?
Ingaba okay, manje ke senithatha isinqumo ke sokuthi niyahamba ke manje. Ingaba siyavumelana ke yini ukuthi ngalesi sikhathi senithatha isinqumo ukuthi niyahamba, siyavumelana yini ukuthi sekuyi crime scene ke leyo? Ngaphambilini nje ukuthi nihambe.
Cha asivumelani.
No, we are not in agreement.
Before you left, why you didn't split? Why you didn't leave other members to guard the house, not the crime scene, to guard the house?
Ngaphambilini ke ukuthi nihambe ke kwakuthi kwakuyini ke imbangela yokuthi ke nithi ke abanye abasale bangagadi i-crime scene kodwa bagade nje umuzi lo noma indlu lena ke
Where a shooting incident had been reported.
la kuye kwadutshulwana khona.
Just to guard that place to see if there are any further shooting? Or just to guard if there is anyone who is coming to pick up the exhibits in that house?
Nje
We understand it's not a crime scene, but it's a shooting place.
nje ukuthi kube khona ke abagadayo bagada ukuthi mhlasimbe nje angeke kuphinde yini kudutshulwane bagada nje nokuthi ke angeke kube namuntu ozofika mhlasimbe ke azothatha noma asuse ubufakazi ngoba siyazi ukuthi la kule ndlu lena ukudutshulweni.
Ngoba ngisho ukuthi emqondeni wethu kwakuwukuthi akakabikho into esilidela ukuthi i-crime scene le ingakho sakho uhamba sona.
As I've already alluded to the fact that in our minds nothing had registered at that time yet that it was a crime scene. Hence the decision that we all decided that we live together.
Did it ring into your mind that the people who had been firing shots can come back and pick up the exhibits?
Ingaba kwanifikela yini ukuthi mhlasimbe labantu laba abadubula bangabuya futhi bazocosha ubufakazi?
It did not. It didn't ring into your mind.
Akuzange kufike.
Akaze kufike.
No, it never.
You know the reason why it did not ring into your mind? It's because you were inexperienced for that crime scene. All of you were juniors. There was no one to supervise the duties that you were supposed to do as members of the SAPS attending such an important crime scene.
Uyazi ukuthi yini ke imbangela yokuthi kungazange kunifikeleke lokho ukuthi ke nonke ke nani nginaso ke isipiliyoni sokuthi nibe lapho kungekho futhi ongaphezulu kunina ngesikhundla ukuthi ke abheke noma asupervise umsebenzi eniwenzayo. Okay?
And this case has been poorly investigated because it was attended by inexperienced police officers first time and incompetent police officers.
Futhi ke uphenyo ngendlela olwenziwa ngayo ke uqala leli ke alizange nje lwenziwe ngendlela nje efanelekile noma futhi indlela ekuyiyona ngoba abantu abaya ke lapha kuqala kwaye amaphoyisa amaphoyisa angenasipiliyoni futhi ke abangekho isimo sokuthi ngokomsebenzi bangakhona lapho.
Is there any response?
Unayo impendulo nayo? No.
Okay, let's move on. You said you met someone who referred to himself as Themba Khumalo. Is that so?
Ufakazi bakho shilo-ke ukuthi nahlangana nomuntu owathi uma ichaza yena uThemba Khumalo.
Yebo.
Yes.
Did you ask him as to how he was related to that house?
Ngabe ngaleso sikhathi ke nambuza yini ukuthi yena ke ubudlelwane bakhe ke noma uhlobene kanjani ke kuleyo ndlu leyo?
Yebo.
Yes.
What did he say?
Wathini ke?
Wathi ubhuti kaMakhumalo.
He said that he was Makhumalo's brother.
Okay. And you believed him?
Nakholelwa ke lokho akushoyo.
Ngoba babemshiye nokhiye wendlu samkholela.
Because he was left with the keys of the house, so we believed him.
Was there no possibility of leaving a key with someone whom they were not related to?
Kwakungekho yini ukuthi noma kwakungenzeki yini ukuthi isikhiya sasingashiywa nomuntu ongasiyena owomndeni?
Angazi.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if the said Themba Khumalo was the suspect?
Uyazi yini ukuthi lowo Themba Khumalo lowo waye umsolo?
The one who was left with the keys for the house?
Yena lowo owashiywa nezikhiya zendlu.
Do you want to
I
say
know
maybe
nothing.
that
You did not.
he was a culprit? Because for a suspect, somebody
Oh,
must
thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord. Yes, he was a culprit. That's what I meant. Thank you, my lord. He was a culprit.
Witnesses already answered. He said, no, I don't know.
Okay. And you did not ask him?
Awuzange umbuze futhi ke na. Noma nizange nimbuzeke.
Ukuthini?
Mhlasimbe nje
Whether he was a culprit or not?
noba kukhona nokumhlanganisayo nakona lokho okwenzeka khona lapho.
Wathi yena akazulu ukuthi ufoneliwe nje ukuthi akeze azogada labasaphuthuma esibhedlela.
He said to us that he knew nothing about what had happened. He was only contacted to come and look after the house. They were quickly rushing to hospital.
And you believed him? He left the crime scene in his hands.
Namkholwa ke kuloko namshiya nendlu leyo nina nahamba.
Samkholwa ngoba sasimfice khona phela.
We believed him because we found him there.
Do you know that what you were supposed to do as the police officers? You were supposed to take the house keys from him and lock the house on your own when
Yes.
you were leaving the crime scene.
Uyazi ke okwakufanele nikwenzeke nina nanjengamaphoyisa ukuthi nithathe ikhiye kuyena kube yinina ke abantu abavalayo indlu leyo. Okay?
And you did not do that.
Anizange nikwenze lokho.
Hayi asikwenzanga.
No, we didn't.
And you left the house, the crime scene, with a person whose status was not identified or clarified at that time.
Nahamba ke nashiya umuzi nomuntu eningamazi ukuthi kwakuyini emhlanganisayo noma uyabandakanyeka noma akabandakanyeki kulokho okwenzekile khona lapho. Nawushiya umuzi naloyo muntu lowo.
Angithi uthi umuzi hayi crime scene.
You are referring to a house, not a crime scene.
Yeah, the house. You are a sergeant now. You were constable by then. Sergeant, that was a crime scene.
Sergeant manje constable then. Sergeant kwakuyi crime scene there. Okay?
We're now talking about the crime scene. The house is a crime scene, I'm telling you.
Ngiyakutshela ke manje ukuthi lento esikhuluma ngayo ke kwakuyi crime scene noma i crime scene.
Okay.
Okay?
You left the crime scene with someone who was not supposed to be keeping the keys of the crime scene as a police officers.
Na njengamaphoyisa ke nashiya indlu ke kanye nomuntu ekwangafanele ukuthi ikhiye nishiye naye.
Yes, sashiya indlu.
Yes, we left the house.
And for how long? Okay, let me just take you back. Do you still have your statements? Because yesterday I see you were struggling to read the time recorded in your statement when you arrived at the crime scene. I want us to be clear now.
Izolo sibonile ke ukuthi nje ngokuphathelene nezikhathi lezi ke bekunzima ke ukuthi uyifunde, so bengifuna nje sicacelwe ke manje.
Read it, Sergeant, because now I want you to take us from the time you left the house to the hospital and the time when you came back.
Ngifuna ke manje isikhathi osuke ngaso endlini uya esibhedlele kanye nesikhathi ke enabuya ngaso.
Okay? What time did you arrive?
Isikhathi nafika ngaso?
For the first time?
Nkathi nifika okokuqala.
Oh, 7 minutes to 9.
7 minutes before 9.
Okay. In hospital, when did you arrive?
Nafika ngasiphi isikhathi esibhedlele?
Hayi ngisibhalanga sasesibhedlela.
It's not written here.
And then when did you come back?
Ukubuya, senibuya ke manje nibuyela kwesibili.
Hayi uma ngingaphosisi mhlambe sabuya ngabo 210 or
If
10.
if I'm not making a mistake, maybe before 10 or 10.
Okay, that was almost an hour. Can we agree on that?
Asije i-hour nje noma kungafinyelela kwi-hour.
Yeah, mhlambe singazoyana.
Yes, maybe we can say so.
Okay. Do you know what happened in the crime scene in that hour when you left no one guarding the crime scene?
Ingabe uyazi yini ke ukuthi yini eyenzeka kuleli hora leliyana ke nihambile lapha yana ningashiyanga umuntu khona lapha ya. Yeah.
Angazi kwenzakalani endlini ngaleso sikhathi.
No, I don't know as to what happened to the house by that time or during that time.
Let me tell you. There is a witness by the name of Sylvia Happy Ngubane.
Sylvia?
Sylvia Happy Ngubeni.
Okay.
My lord, it's a statement that I've already submitted it into the record before.
Okay. Kunofakazi ke ummeli ke uzokufundela ke noma uzokutshela ke ukuthi kwenzekani uthi ke uyakutshela ke ukuthi kunofakazi ogama lakhe lu Sylvia Happy Ngubeni.
Yes.
My lord, I'm reading paragraph 13 of that statement, my lord. It's statement 117. Statement 117 of Sylvia Happy Ngubeni.
Sizobheka lapha.
Yes.
My lord, I'm just waiting to see if they can be able to open it there, or maybe I should just read it to the witness.
It's there.
Okay. Paragraph 12.
Sure.
Can I read it, my lord, now?
Yes.
Thank you. It says, that line, when I arrived at Kumalo's house, the doors were closed. I don't know who opened the doors. Myself, Maggie Piri, Julia Masia, and Gugu went into the house.
Ithi ke mayifundeka lapha yana ngathi uma ngifika kwaKhumalo iminyango yayivaliwe angazi ukuthi ubani owavula mina uMeggy Phiri uJulia Masia kanye noGugu sangena endlini.
Do you hear that?
Uyakuzwa lokho?
Ngiyabonga ngiyakuzwa.
Yes, I do.
Paragraph 13. The reason I went into the house is because I wanted to see what happened in the house. When we're in the house, I saw water on the floor, on the passage near the toilet door. I was amazed to see the water on the floor where I was told somebody was shot in the house.
Imbangela ke yokuthi ngingene endlini kungoba ngangifuna ukubona ukuthi kwenzekani endlini. Sathi uma sesisendlini ke ngabona amanzi phansi epassagini eduze komnyango wase toilet. Kwangimangaza ke ukuthi ngibone amanzi phansi ngoba ngangizwe ukuthi noma ngangitsheliwe ukuthi kunomuntu owadutshulwa endlini.
Okay. This is happening when you were not there. You were in hospital.
Lokhu ke kwenzeka nkathi ningekafiki lapha yana.
Paragraph 15. Maggie Phiri started to pick up the empties from the floor. I asked her why she tidying up before the police could arrive. Do you see that?
Paragraph 15 uthi ke uMeggy Phiri bese qala ke ukuxosha ama-empty ayephansi ngambuza ke ukuthi kwenzelani ke noma yini embangela ukuthi aklineke ngaphambilini kokuthi amaphoyisa afike lapho endlini. uMeggy waphendula ke
Meggy responded that she doesn't want the police to see that people who were inside the house were drinking. Myself, Gugu and Julia then went outside.
uMeggy waphendula ke wathi wayengafuni ukuthi amaphoyisa abone ukuthi abantu ababephakathi endlini babephuza. Mina ke uGugu kanye noJulia saphumela ngaphandle.
Okay. Paragraph 17. Up a bit. The police arrived at the scene and they went into the house. I can't remember who opened the house for them. They came out and I always saw the police van and I thought the police were always in the vicinity. Later, a contingency of police arrived and conducted the scene and cordoned off, sorry my lord, and cordoned off the scene with tapes. That's you now.
Amaphoyisa afika kusini angena endlini angisakhumbuli ke ukuthi ubani owabavulela baye aphuma ke amaphoyisa ngangibabona ke isikhathi sonke iveni amaphoyisa ngayibona isikhathi sonke futhi ngicabanga ke ukuthi ayehlezi ekhona lapho amaphoyisa. Kamuva ke kwafika amaphoyisa amaningi ase evala ke noma efaka ke i-tape yamaphoyisa. Uthi ke u-advocate yinina ke labo.
The police arrived and cordoned off the scene with the tapes. They closed the gate with the tapes and instructed all people to go out of the yard.
Amaphoyisa afika bavala ke isango noma igate ngetape base betshela wonke umuntu ke ukuthi aphumele ngaphandle noma ngale kwegceke. Usale abomndeni kuphela.
Okay, did you get that, Sergeant?
Sergeant? Yes, I did.
It's you who cordoned off the crime scene.
Yes, it was.
And it was in your second visit when you cordoned off the crime scene. No, just answer the question. You cordoned off the crime scene when you came for the second time from the hospital.
Yeah. That's correct.
And before you arrived, the crime scene was cleaned. Before you arrived to cordon off the crime scene, it was cleaned.
Is that the statement?
Yes.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You said that had you not left the crime scene unattended, those people would not have been able to enter inside the house and clean the crime scene. I-crime scene nje naningayishiyanga nje kanjalo nje kungekho umuntu oyibhekile laba abantu laba ekhulunywa ngabo lapha yani kulesa statement babengeke bakwazi ukuthi bangene benze lokho abakwenza.
Ngibengichazela ukuthi ngiyafuna khona ukuchaza kodwa manje ngiyanqena ngoba kuzoba ngathi ngiphuma endleleni.
I did mention, my lord, that I would like to explain, but then I don't want a situation now I'll be seen to be now not to be just getting out of the way.
Do you see that?
No, Mr. Mteto, the fact that we corrected you here and there should not restrain you. Give the answer you have in your mind to the question that is coming. If there's something wrong, we will tell you. We will not fight you. We will just tell you that the answer is not appropriate.
Ukuthi ngaphambilini ubutsheliweke noma ubuzanywa ukuthi ulungisweke lokho akusho ukuthi unganikeze ngalempendulo onayo emqondweni wakho kumbuzo obuzwayo. Uma ngabe kuukuthi ke ukhona nje okurongo kuleyo nto inkantolo izokutshela kodwa lokho akukuvimbi ukuthi unganikezi ngempendulo onayo kumbuzo obuzwayo.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your response?
Uthinike
Do
uphendula.
you see or do you realize that had you not left the crime scene unattended, those witnesses, especially this one, will not have been able to access the crime scene and clean the crime scene before you cordoned off the crime scene?
Uyabona ke noma uyaqonda yini ukuthi ke uma ngabe bakwenzekile ukuthi crime scene ningayishiyi nje kanjalo. Ofakazi laba kakhulukazi ke lo ufakazi okufunda lesi statement sakhe babengeke bakwazi ukuthi bangeneke khona lapho kwi crime scene.
Ukube mhlambe kuna la athi khona amaphoyisa afikile angena endlini aphuma ahamba then sasala kwenzeka ukuthi nokuthi lezi zinto ayibalile ngabe ngiyakuvuma konke lokho.
Okay, if there was a part or a portion, my lord, where that says the police arrived, the police went out of the house, and thereafter we then gained entry or access into the house and did these things that are being mentioned here, I would have understood that point.
Don't worry, I'll read it for you again until you understand it. Look at that paragraph 17. The police arrived at the scene. Paragraph 17 is immediately after the house has been cleaned from the previous paragraph that I've read.
Paragraph 17 lona ke kusemuva ke ukuthi beklinile kule paragraph le bese ngifundile ngaphambilini.
Okay? And then this person is standing outside the house, is watching you coming in to the house.
Manje lana ke umi ngaphandle ke lo muntu lona walesi statement
Let's go.
uyabuka ke noma uyabona amaphoyisa engena ngaphakathi endlini.
Let's go together again now. The police arrived at the scene and they went in the house.
Uyaqala ke lana uthi amaphoyisa asefika ke kwiscene angena phakathi endlini.
I can't remember who opened the house for them.
Angisakhumbuli ke ukuthi ubani owabavulela endlini.
They came out
Baphuma.
and I thought the police were always in the vicinity.
I always saw.
Sorry?
I always saw, not thought.
I always saw the police van and I thought the police were always in the vicinity.
Ngabona ke noma ngangibona ke ukuthi iveni emaphoyisa ikhona ngacabanga ke noma lokho ukuthi ngabona iveni emaphoyisa ikhona kwangenza ngacabanga ukuthi ke amaphoyisa ayehlezi ekhona kuleyo ndawo.
Okay. Later, a contingency of police arrived and cordoned off the scene with tapes.
Kamuva kwafika ke amaphoyisa ase evala ke noma ebiya ke ngama tapes.
And according to your evidence, it was yourself who cordoned off the crime scene. Am I correct?
Ngokubufakazi bakho ke kwakuyinina ababiya noma abavala ke ngetape angithi.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So it means this witness is referring to you that he then saw you entering and then cordoned off the crime scene.
Manje ke la lo fakazi ke kusho ukuthi lana uchaza nina ke ukuthi wabona nina ke ningena kamuva ke nase nivala ke noma senicordona off iscene.
The gate, they closed the gate with the tapes and instructed all people to go out of the yard, and only the family members must remain.
Base bevala ke igate noma isango ke ngama tape noma ngetape babe beseletshela wonke ke umuntu ukuthi aphumele ngaphandle egcekeni kusale abomndeni kuphela.
And that was your evidence yesterday.
Bekubufakazi bakho lo bizola ngithi.
Yebo.
That's correct.
Yes. So I sorry.
Are you still on this point because it's now tea time?
Tea time.
Yeah, but if you are in the middle of something, rather finish it.
Thank you, Mara. Can I just finish this
Yes,
question
yes,
only then
yeah,
we'll...
you can.
So now do you see that at the time when you arrived and cordoned off the crime scene, it had already been cleaned?
Manje ingabe usuyabona ke ukuthi uma ngabe ulandela lokho ke okushiwo lana ukuthi ngalesikhathi mina senifika ke noma ilesikhathi nibuye kwesibili senivala ke ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi leso bese kukliniwe vele.
Let's take a break. We'll answer after a short break. My lord, can you just give him a break?
All right, okay.
15 minutes.
It is then that you arrived. And in other words, it suggests that the scene or the place you left when you went to the hospital was no longer the same when you returned.
Lokho kusho ukuthi ke indawo lena ke ngendlela enayishiya ngayo ngesikhathi nihamba nesibhedlela mase nibuya ke akuseyona leya ngendlela enanishiye ingayo.
And the question is saying, had you left someone when you went to the hospital, those ladies would not have been able to come. Whoever you would have left would have told them not to pick anything, would have told them not to clean.
Inkantolo ithi ke icabanga ukuthi ke ilapho na ke ukuthi ke uma ngabe kwenzekile ukuthi kube nomuntu onimshiyayo umama lona ke kanye nabanye laba abachazayo babengeke bakwazi ukuthi bangeneke ngoba umuntu loyo noma abantu labo nanizobashiye nanizothi nibashiye babezobavimba ukuthi cha anivumelekile ukuthi ningene anivumelekile ukuthi niqoshe lutho.
Ngiyezwa kodwa angazi noma mhlawumbe yimi ekhona la ngisale khona ngenkathi kufundwa ilantingana la statement angazi kodwa bengithi mhlawumbe ngendlela achaza ngayo ukuthi masifika singenile endlini then sakhondola isini even iloku ikhona ngaphandle mhlawumbe khona la mina engenze khona iphutha ngangezwa kahle angazi.
I do understand, my lord, but I don't know whether I'm the one who was left behind or where I make a mistake, because she says from what was being read here that we arrived, we cordoned the scene off, and that at all times she saw that the van was there. So I don't know whether I'm the one who was left behind or I didn't understand properly.
Okay. Proceed.
The paragraph, it's very clear. Sergeant, the paragraph, it's very clear. It says, immediately after we've cleaned the crime scene, the police arrived and cordoned off the crime scene.
Icacile ke ukuthi kuloko okufundwa lapha yana ke ukuthi emuva kokuthi amaphoyisa efikile ke noma ke screenile ke ukuthi emuva kokuthi thina ke sescreenile ke kufike amaphoyisa abe eseyavala ke.
Do you understand that?
I do understand.
And the police who are referred to in that paragraph who cordoned off the crime scene is yourself.
Amaphoyisa la ekhulunywa ngawo lapha yana ke lana afika avala ke inina. Yes, it is us.
Then let's apply our mind to the facts. The crime scene had been cleaned, and as we were still standing there, the police arrived and cordoned off the crime scene.
Asithatheke imikondo yethu ke sibeke ke kuloko esikutshelayo noma kulamaphuzu ke la afundwa lapha yana ukuthi kusemuva kokuthi screenileke afika ke amaphoyisa samile lapha yana abe eseyavala.
Nkosi enkantolo nami emqondweni wami kunokuthi bayicleane ngaphambi kokuba if ethi ba cleanile benza bayicleane ngaphambi kokuba sifike kwakuqala mhlawumbe ngoba mase esibhedlela sesibuya amacan lawo abevele khona kwamanzi akhuluma ngawo thina sifica ngamanzi kwasokuqaleni sasiwabona amanzi mhlawumbe masingena sihamba so mhlawumbe lokho akushoye ngasho ukuthi kwafika kwethu kokuqala bese bevele ekwenzile lokho sorry
in my mind as well, my lord, that everything that the witness is referring to here in this statement is something that was done before we even came or arrived there for the first time, because when we arrived there, the cans were there, and when we came back from hospital, the cans were there, but the water that the person is referring to, we didn't see any water there. So in my mind, what that says is that this was done even before we arrived for the first time.
Doesn't that complicate it more? Because then how do you find cans if it happens before you arrive for the first time?
Ingabe lokho ko akwenzike ukuthi kube nzima impela ke ngoba ke uma ngabe lokho bakwenza ngaphambilini kokuthi nifike nje okoqala kwenzeka kanjani ke ukuthi nina ke nithole ama cans lawana?
You wouldn't have found anything because you are suggesting that they cleaned before you ever arrived.
Ngoba ke uma ngabe kwakwenzekile ukuthi baclean nje ningekafiki ngisho nokokuqala ngisho nama can lawana ke okhulume ngawo wena ukuthi nawathola nani ngeke niwathole.
Inkosi enkantolo nakho ke siwathola futhi sesibuya esibhedlela. Siwathola kanjani ama can if vele bakwenzile lokho? Angiphikisana ukuthi bakwenzile angazi ngangekho. Kodwa sesibuya esibhedlela ke siwathola kanjani? Siwaphinde siwathole futhi kanjani?
My Lord, I don't disagree that they didn't do that, but now we went to hospital and we come back and we find the very same cans there, my Lord. So how is it possible then that we were able to find the cans?
Oh, so you are saying if they cleaned whilst you were at the hospital, you wouldn't have returned to find any cans?
Uthike uma ngabe ukuthi ba clean ngalesikhathi nina nisesibhedleleke lokho kusho ukuthi nani ngeke niwathola ama can uma babe clean ngalesikhathi nina nisesibhedlela nani ngeke uma nibuya nithole kunala ma can.
Yebo kusho ukuthi ama cans asingeke siwathole ngoba kuthiwa angithi ba cleanile baqoqa nama can.
That is correct, my Lord. We would not have found the cans because it is alleged that they cleaned and they even took the cans.
Yes.
So, you are saying it is not true, it's not correct what the witness is saying here, to say the crime scene was cleaned and immediately you arrived to cordon off the crime scene.
Okushoyo ke ukuthi akulona iqiniso lokhu okhulunywa la ulofakazi ukuthi base ba cleaner emuva kokuthi nje be cleanile nase niyafika nina.
That is not correct.
Uthi akulona
According
iqiniso
to
le.
you. It's not correct.
Akulona iqiniso.
It's not correct.
Uthi akulona iqiniso lokhu akushoyo.
Ayikuthi ba clean asesibhedlela.
That they cleaned whilst we were in hospital? No.
Let's go to the second statement.
Would you be agreeable to the suggestion that they cleaned before you cordoned off?
Ungavumelana nento ethi ba clean ngaphambilini kokuthi ni cordon nina noma nivale. Ungavuma lokho ukuthi bakwenza lokho ngaphambi kokuthi nivale.
Ngokukhulu kuyithoba ngingavumelana nenkantolo mayithi sifika vele kokuqala kwasevele kwenzekile lokho ngingavumelana nayo lokho nje not saying ngoba ngabona okanjani kodwa mhlambe kwenzeka singakafiki thi.
With the greatest of respect to the court, my Lord, I would agree with the court if it was said that they did it even way before or even before we arrived or even there for the first time then, not to say that I saw it, but that it happened before we arrived even for the first time.
But the court is asking from you a simple thing. Would you agree that the crime scene was cleaned before you even cordoned off the crime scene?
Okubuzwa inkantolo nje okulula nje ukuthi ungavumelana yini uma ngabe kuthiwa ke ukwenza kwabo lokho noma uklina kwabo ke lokho kwenzeka nje ngaphambilini kokuthi nina nivale. Ungavumelana nalokho? Yebo noma cha?
Uma ukuthi kwenzeka ngingavumelana nenkantolo.
If it is that it happened, I would agree with the court.
And it happened before you cordoned off the crime scene?
Futhi ke kwenzeka ke ngaphambilini kokuthi nivale nina.
Ngaphambi kokuthi ngifike nje ngivale, yes.
Yes, before I arrived and cordoned off.
Before you cordoned off, that's the language we use here in court. The crime scene was cleaned before you cordoned off the crime scene.
Lana ke thwa ke ukuthi i-crime scene yacleanwa ngaphambi kokuthi niyikhode nina noma niyivale.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect. The second witness, A119, my Lord, I also have submitted this statement before. I'll just be referring to specific paragraphs. Thank you, my Lord. May I ask that those who are taking photographs not to take this statement when it's beamed there? Statement of Julia Masia. It's 119. 119.
Was that interpreted?
Which one, my lord?
Sorry, my lord.
The request that no photographing happens as against the statements that are being beamed on the screen.
I think it's fish.
Yes, my lord, there were pictures that were taken.
Come again.
Yes, my lord, there were pictures that were taken for the statement when it was beamed there.
No, my question is as to whether it is known that that should not happen. That the statements should not be, are you not saying the statements should not be photographed?
Yes, should not be photographed,
Yeah.
as I requested, my lord, even before when I was using it.
And was it interpreted?
No, my lord, I didn't. Mostly it's most the learned people who are doing that, so I don't see the need to interpret it.
You are assuming? Okay. I don't think it's that.
Ngiyacela ke u-advocate umhlololo ukuthi makuvese statement lapha kungathathwa iy'thombe zaso.
Yes, let's proceed.
Thank you, my lord. In that statement, my lord, for Julia.
This is the statement of Julia.
Julia, yes, Julia
And that-
Masia.
And that number, that's A.
It's A119119. Julian Nzulaifi. Whatever, my lord. Masia.
Yes.
Can you go down to paragraph 3? And I'm reading, my lord, on line 5, line number 5, which says, I realized that Makumalo left the house. Myself, Megipiri, Happy Ngubeni, and Gugu Ngubeni decided to enter inside the house. At that time, the door was wide open.
Okay. Ithi ke lana ngase ngibona ke, okay. Thanks. Ngase ngabona ke ukuthi uMakhumalo wahamba noma wayishiya indlu, mina uMegiphiri, uHappy Ngubeni kanye noGugu Ngubeni sathatha ke isinqumo sokuthi singene phakathi endlini ngaleso sikhathi, yebo.
The door
Oh, sorry.
wa-
Ngaleso sikhathi ke umnyango wawuvuliwe.
Piri led us inside the house. I entered the house and stood at the passage. I saw a lot of empty beer bottles on the floor. I did not see anything else besides empty of beer bottles.
Okay. uMegiphiri ke uyena owasiholela phakathi endlini la ngena mina ke ngama epassage ngabona amabhodlela amaningi empty eleli phansi obhiya angizange ngibone lutho okunye ngaphandleni kwalawo mabhodlela ke angena lutho obhiya.
But when you arrived, Sergeant, you did not see this lot of beer bottles.
Ukufikeni kwakho wena ke Sergeant lamabhodlela obhiya awuzange uwabone noma nizange niwabone? No.
Okokuqala nje sifika nje okokuqala.
No, when we arrived for the very first time we didn't see them.
Megipiri suggested to us that we should clean the house before the police arrive. We ignored her, and she continued to pack empty of the beer bottles, and we left Megipiri behind, busy packing the empties.
uMegiphiri ke waye wathi kuthina ke kuzofanele ukuthi siqineke endlini ngaphambilini kokuthi amaphoyisa afike. Asamziba ke waqhubeka ke yena ke ukuthi ke ehlanganisa ke lawo mabhodlela angena lutho obhiya saha samshiya ke uMegiphiri ngasemuva thina ke ebusy ke eqoqa lawo ma empty lawo.
Okay. Paragraph 5, line number 1. Same statement. We stood outside and a police van with 2 police officials arrived at the scene. At that time, there were a lot of people in the yard, also in the street. The police put the police tapes to prevent other people from entering the premises, and I saw them talking to Themba Khumalo.
Sama ngaphandle ke kwase kufika ke iveni yamaphoyisa enamaphoyisa amabili lapho kwisini. Ngaleso sikhathi leso ke kwakunabantu abaningi abephakathi egcekeni kanye futhi abanye beme ngaphandle estradini. amaphoyisa ase efaka ke i-tape yawo ukuvimba abantu ukuthi bangene ngaphakathi. Mina ke ngababona bekhuluma noThemba Khumalo.
This is the second witness who is saying one and the same thing, to say the crime scene was packed before you arrived, before the crime scene was cordoned off by yourselves.
Ufakazi wesibini ke okhuluma into oyedwa lona ukuthi ke kwakunabantu abaningi noma kwagcwele laphayana lokho futhi ke kwenzeka ngaphambilini kokuthi nje kuvalwe laphayana kwi-crime scene.
Bottles were packed. Beer bottles were packed.
Kanye futhi ke kunalamabhodlela ke abiya ke la ayehlanganiswayo.
Before you cordoned off the crime scene.
Ngaphambilini kokuthi nina ke nivale laphayana.
Did you hear that?
Ukuzwile lokho?
Yebo nguzwile.
Yes, I did.
This is the second witness.
Ufakazi wesibili ke lo.
And that at that time when that happened, is when you had left the crime scene to the hospital.
Nkathi kwenzeka ke lokho ilesikhathi nina ke nahamba ngaona inani hambe ngaso niye esibhedlela.
Okay? Do you see that? Do you see that?
Uyakubona lokho?
Ngiyakubona kodwa.
Okay.
Yes, I do, but
It's fine. Leave it there. Let's move on now. You went to the hospital and you met at the gate with a motor vehicle and you described it as BMW.
sise asiyeke manje esibhedlela. Niyafika ke noma niyangena esibhedlela nihlangana ke nale moto oyichazile ukuthi kwakuyi BMW.
Yebo.
Yes.
And then you were driven in 2 police cars, am I correct?
Nanhamba ngemoto eyi2 ezimbili zamaphoyisa.
Because it was 4 of you at the crime scene, you remember?
Uma ngabe ukhumbula kahle ke angithi nani u4. Ngabe lokho kusho ukuthi nani hamba ngemoto ezimbili ezahlukene.
2 student constable, yourselves and Matebula. Or maybe you can tell us how did you drive?
Oh, usitshele wena ukuthi nani hamba kanjani ke?
Ngazihamba imoto eyodwa.
We were traveling in one vehicle.
Okay. And then you stood as you came across with that motor vehicle. Then who spoke to the passenger of the other vehicle?
Nase nima ke ngokufakazi bakho ke bayizolo ke. Ubani ke owakhuluma uma ukhumbula kahle kubufakazi bakho bayizolo uthe ke kwahliswa iwindow uma ukhumbula kahle iwindow le passenger. So ubani ke kunina owakhuluma ne passenger leya ye BMW.
Noma ngasakhumbuli noma yimi noma uMathebula kodwa uye usisi waqala wakhuluma kuqala.
Although I can't remember whether it was myself or Matebula, but the lady was the first one to speak.
Who was driving your vehicle?
Well, eyeni imoto eqhutywa ubani?
I think uMathebula.
Matebula.
And then the passenger was it a passenger or a driver?
Kwaku on the other vehicle.
On the other vehicle, yes.
Kwenye imoto leyana kwaku umshayeli noma kwaku passenger owayekhuluma.
Kwakumshayeli.
It was the driver.
And who was driving?
Kwakushayela bani?
Owabe sengitshela ukuthi uKelly.
It's when he informed me that it was Kelly.
Who informed you?
Utshelwa ubani?
Lo engangisebenza naye.
My colleague.
Did you ask him, what's your name? Did you ask her, sorry, my lord, did you ask her what's your name as you were speaking to her? Before you were told by your colleague or your crew. Do you call it a crew member?
Na njengoba okhuluma naye ke ingaba wambuza wena ukuthi ubani ngaphambilini kokuthi utshelwe icolleague yakho?
Usisi wakhuluma nathi wathi uSenzo Meyiwa useshonile ulanga phakathi esibhedlela.
The lady spoke to us and said to us that Senzo Meyiwa is late. He's inside the hospital.
Exactly. Did you ask that person what is your name before he gave you that information?
Ngaphambilini ke kokuthi anitshele lokho nambuza ukuthi ubani igama lakhe.
Mina ngaze ngimbuzo kodwa ngoba ucolleague wami wayemazi.
Did you?
I did not ask her. I did not ask her because my colleague knew her, but I did not ask her.
Why not? Because he related to you such a crucial information, telling you about the death of someone?
Ngani ke ngoba naku ke eninikeza manje imininingwane ebaleke kangaka enitshela ngomuntu oshonile. Kwenzeka kanjani ke ukuthi ningambuza ukuthi ubani?
Bengisachaza la ukuthi usisi wakhuluma nathi wathini ngabaleka.
I was stopped because I was still explaining here that this lady spoke to us and what it is that she was saying.
Yeah,
but I was stopped.
He said Senzo Meyiwa had been killed, has passed away.
Yebo.
Didn't he say so?
Wachaza nokuthi yena umama wengane yakhe.
And she went on to say that she was the mother of his child.
Yes. Did you ask her name?
Wambuza noma nambuza igama lakhe.
Hayi wabe sengihlebela ku colleague wami ukuthi hayi uyena.
Did you ask her?
Then my colleague whispered to me as to who she was.
It also did not ring to your mind.
Ayizange naleyo ikufikeleke.
Ukuthi ngimbuze.
To ask her.
Yes, to ask her
Yebo.
name.
Angithi ngilitholile ku colleague wami.
I've already been told by my colleague.
Besides getting that information from your colleague, from that person who was conveying such a crucial information,
Ngaphandleni kokuthi utshelwe ucolleague wakho ke ubuze nje kuyena nje. Ngoba lo muntu unikeza nje information ebaleke kangaka.
Ukuthi ngathi ngoba ngishilo ukuthi ngathi manje ngidonsekele la ngaphansi ngivalelekile ukuthi angikhona ukuchaza kahle ukuthi lapha information asinika yona ithini size singene ngaphakathi sithole umama sinikwe ubani ukuthi ubani sizomthola ngaphakathi yena uyabuya usayobeka ubhuti lo ahamba naye.
Because now I'm being stopped because I'm trying to explain as to what information she gave us and what led us inside and who she referred us to someone or to the lady inside because she just said that she was just taking the gentleman away that she was traveling with. So I was trying to explain that, but I'm being stopped.
okay, can you explain it? We want to listen to you. Yes, what did she say?
Sathi masingena kusama ngoba vele naye wayema kwavuleka amafastela emoto yakhe lo sisahamba ngayo.
Because we were driving into the hospital, we stopped because we could see that she was also stopping, and then the windows of the vehicle she was traveling in were opened. Yebo?
Wasichazela ukuthi umama wengane ka Senzo.
She informed us that she was the mother of Senzo's child.
Yes. Oh, firstly, sorry. Wasibuza ukuthi ngabe sibuya emzamo yini sifuna sathi yes sithola complaint but sibuya emzamo sizela isibhedlela manje.
She wanted to know from us whether we were coming from Zamo, and then we said yes, we were coming from Zamo. We received a complaint, and now we are coming to the hospital.
Wasesichazela ukuthi yena umama wengane ka Senzo.
She then informed us that she was the mother of Senzo's child.
Usenzo la ngaphakathi ushonile.
Senzo is inside and that he had passed away.
Kodwa sabuza ukuthi ukuthi ucolleague wami wabuza uye wakhuluma naye wambuza ukuthi usizothola abantu ozokhuluma ngoba uphuma wathi no sizothola umama masingafike sicele umama umakhumalo ngaphakathi.
Then my colleague wanted to know from her, seeing that you are now driving out, who are we going to find inside to be able to speak to? She then said that you will be able to get my mother and speak to her.
Washo wathi kodwa uyabuya usahambise ubhuti lo ayehamba naye.
She also informed us that she would be coming back. She is just taking the gentleman away that she was traveling with. And then that's how we went inside.
Okay, can you answer my question now?
Ngawuphendula ke manje umbuzo wami.
Did you ask the name, the particulars of that person who conveyed that information to you?
Manje nangu ke lo muntu ke usenitshela ke lokhu anitshela kona ke ngaba nambuza yini ukuthi ubani?
Hayi mina ngimbuza.
I didn't ask her.
Okay, let's move on. You proceeded inside the hospital and you met with Makhumalo.
Nange ngaphakathi esibhedlela nahlangana naye uMakhumalo.
Saqala sahlangana no nurse.
The first person that we met was the nurse.
Okay, forget about the nurse. I want Makhumalo. You met with Makhumalo.
Asikhohlwe ke ngonurse nahlangana noMakhumalo. Yes.
Who introduced Makhumalo to you?
Ubani owachaza uMakhumalo kunina?
Mahlangana nenurse sacela ukuthi ubani ofike family member uMakhumalo sabuza wathi ayinamba yibo laba kune passage nesitulo lapho wasikhombisa.
We wanted to know from the nurse as to who is Makhumalo, family member, and then she pointed us to them because there was a passage and a chair or a seat there.
And then you talked to her?
Nakhuluma naye.
Yebo.
Yes.
Did she introduce herself?
Wayichaza yena kunina?
Yebo asho ukuthi uye uMakhumalo.
Yes, she did. She introduced herself as Makhumalo.
Okay, what else did she say?
Kupho kunya wakusho.
Khona esibhedlela.
At the hospital.
After introducing herself to
Emuva
you.
kokuthi ichazileke kunini ukuthi ubani, kupho kunya wakusho.
Oh, sabe sesimcela thina ukuthi sizocela ukubuyela naye le emumva esinini. Asichazele ukuthi kwenzakaleni.
We then made a request to her that we would like to go back to the scene with her so that she could explain to us as to what happened.
Continue.
Ungaqhubeka.
Ya mase sihamba ke endleleni wayesichazela ukuthi ngathi kungene amadoda amabili phethe isibhamu anome yodwa nephethe isibhamu.
And as we were traveling, my lord, that's when he then conveyed to us that 2 men entered. They were having firearms, or one of them was having a firearm.
Angisena siqiniseke ukuthi bababili babephethe ibhamu oyedwa angisakhumbuli.
No, I'm not certain anymore whether both were having firearms or only one of them had a firearm.
And you did not record what Makhumalo related to you anywhere.
Lokhu ayenitshela kona-ke uMakhumalo anizange nikubhale phansi.
Angithi wayezofika athathwe ama-detective statement as a-witness yena.
The detectives were going to take statements from her as a witness.
I'm not talking about detectives here. You are talking to Makhumalo. You are telling this court you can't recall what exactly did Makhumalo say to you. I am asking you, didn't you record what Makhumalo said to you when you were busy talking? Forget about detectives. I'm talking about you.
Ngicela ke sikhohlwe noma ukhohlwe ke ngama detectives ngoba manje angithi uthi niyahamba nibuyela kwisini. Uyanitshela ke lokho anitshela khona ke. So akuthi njengoba nitshela nje anibhali phansi nina lokho anitshela khona.
Kukhona okunye kwakhe sasibhala kuma pocket book wethu hayi ukuthi sizokubhala kwi full scale.
There was some information that we were writing down, or there was some information that we wrote down in our pocket books, but not to say that we were writing that on a page.
Okay. The pocket book that is nowhere to be found now.
Lena sikhuluma ngale pocket book ke engatholakali manje.
Yiyo kahle.
That's correct.
Okay. After that, what happened? We have now discussed with Makhumalo.
Kwenzekile ke lokho kwasekuthini ke.
Safika ke endlini ke. Masingena endlini. Singena nje eminyango washo ukuthi angazi bangene khona lapha eminyango lamadoda noma thatha i-cellphone or ama-cellphone. Lena adubula ke.
Okay. We then went into the house, and then that's when she conveyed to us that those men entered the house. I don't know whether she said that they took a cell phone or cell phones, and then they fired.
Okay. But you were a police officer attending the crime scene. You don't know what was reported to you. You don't know whether 2 people fired shots. You don't know whether the cell phone was also taken or not.
Kulokho sitshela khona ke ukuthi nani ngamaphoyisa ke alaphayana anazi noma ukuthi amadoda amabili adubula anazi noma ukuthi kwathathwa ama cell phones futhi ke akukhumbuli nje nalokho konke enakutshelwa.
Angisho ukuthi angazi.
I didn't say I don't know.
What did you say?
Utheni?
Uthe kwangena amadoda amabili.
I said
La ngasakhumbula khona ukuthi omabili naye ephethe ibhamu ngeke ngikhumbule into ka-2014.
I said that she said 2 men entered. But what I did not remember is that whether both were carrying firearms.
So
I'm unable to remember something that happened way back in 2014.
So you can't recall?
Awukhumbuli.
You can't recall because it took place long time ago.
Uthi ke awukhumbuli ngoba kwenzeka kudala.
Angithi lamele ngisho engikukhumbulayo, angidedele ngisho engikukhumbulayo, engingakukhumbuli okusho ukuthi i-witness ezayo mayikufaka izobe ikufakile. Kodwa mela ngidedele ngisho engikukhumbulayo mina. Angizukwazi ukuthi kwangena amadoda amabili ephethe ibhamu amabili. Okusho ukuthi nesiqiniseko salento engiyikhulumayo.
I'm unable to say that 2 men entered and both of them were carrying firearms. That would then mean that I'm certain about what I'm saying, but I'm also requesting that you allow me to say that which I can recall. What I don't recall, maybe the next witness will be able to come and confirm that, but I'm only saying what I can recall.
But I want you to confirm this. You cannot recall whether Makhumalo said the cell phone was taken or not, because it transpired long time ago. You can't recall now.
Angikushoyo kuwena ke ukuthi uthi awukhumbuli noma uMakhumalo wathi kwathathwa i-cellphone ngoba lokhu kwenzeka kudala.
Yathatha i-cellphone.
A cell phone was taken.
Okay. So you recall now?
Manje uyakhumbula.
I think you're jumping onto 2 issues at the same time. There was about not remembering whether 2 of the guys were wielding firearms.
Yes, my lord.
And now the issue of the cell phone came from nowhere. I think it will confuse the witness. You said you cannot recall whether both intruders wielded firearms, not so.
Uthe awukhumbuli ke noma bobabili ke ba bephethe ibhamu angithi.
Yebo yilokho engeke ngingaba nesiqiniseko sakho kodwa ukhona owayephethe isibhamu ukuthi bobabili babephethe ibhamu oyedwa wabo angisaphumi kodwa ukhona owayephethe isibhamu.
What I can't remember, my lord, is that yes, there was someone who had a firearm, but as to whether both were having a firearms, I can't remember that. But what I do know is that yes, there was a firearm.
And what do you remember about the cell phone?
Ukhumbulani ke nge-cell phone?
Yeah, yathatha cell phone.
A cell phone was taken.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes.
Now, when you arrive now at the scene,
Yes.
did you find the same person you had spoken to at the hospital who was driving the motor vehicle that you met at the gate?
Manje ke ngiyabuya ke manje esibhedlela nila endlini. Lo yamuntu ke lo enahlangana naye ke egate ningena nina ephuma yena ke ehamba ngale ya BMW. Ingabe nahlangana naye yini uma senibuya ke manje okwesibili nibuyele endlini? No, we didn't find her.
Okay. Did you enter inside the house?
Nangena ngaphakathi endlini.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was she not there?
Wayengekho lapha.
Ayiwayengekho.
No, she wasn't there.
Were there any other people?
Babe khona abanye abantu.
Ngaphandle babekhona ababe mphakathi.
Yes, members of the there were members of the community outside, yes.
The house, did you enter inside the house?
Ngaphakathi endlini nangena.
Yebo sangena.
Yes, we did.
Were there any people inside the house when
Babe-
you arrived? When you entered inside the house?
Ngenkathi enangena ngayo ke endlini babe khona abantu nabafica phakathi endlini.
Cha.
No.
And then let's move on to the time now when you say a photographer was summoned. Was he summoned by yourself? Do you know who summoned the photographer?
Ingaba uyazi ke sesiya manje la khona kwabizwa khona ke i photographer. Yinini nambiza noma uyazi ukuthi ubani wabiza i photographer?
Ukuthi thina siyasicela iCSC sibizele siyasicela police station sibizele photographer.
We will make a request to the CSC or the police station to call the photographer.
So you don't know who summoned the photographer?
Ngamanye amagama awazi ukuthi ubani wayo owabiza.
Owayesesiye sakhuluma naye kwaku warrant officer Maphafu.
The person who was at the CSC that we spoke to was Warrant Officer Maphafu.
And it's also correct that Constable Mosia
Warrant
arrived.
officer,
Sorry, my lord.
Maphafu. Maphafu, ne?
Yes, yebo Maphafu.
yes.
And it is your evidence also that Constable Mosia arrived first before Brigadier Ndlovu.
Ubufakazi bakho ke bokuthi uMusiya uyena wafika qala kuno Brigadier Ndlovu.
Yebo.
Yes.
So when Constable Mosia testified that he arrived at the scene and then he found Brigadier Ndlovu already at the crime scene, that is not correct.
Uma ngabe ke kuba ubufakazi uSergeant Musia yena ethi wathi uma ngabe efika yena lapha kwisini wamfica elapho uBrigadier Ndlovu kusho ukuthi akusilona iqiniso leli elikhulunywa uMsiya.
Hayi thina kwafika qala uMsiya kithi Brigadier Ndlovu walandela uMsiya.
According to us, Musia arrived first and the Brigadier Ndlovu followed after Musia.
Yeah, so that is not correct.
Kusho ukuthi lokho okushiwo uMsiya akusilona iqiniso.
Yes.
It's not correct.
Hayi phakamisa ukukhuluma la phezulu futhi.
Hayi angazi ukuthi wayethatha phi mithi wafika qala.
I don't know where he took it or he got it from when he said he arrived first.
But it's not so.
Kusho ukuthi akukho kanjalo.
Yebo akukho kanjalo.
That's correct.
Okay. And you said there is an officer by the name of Captain Zwane who came and he was in charge of the crime scene. Did you say that?
Ushilo ke nokuthi kwase kufika ke uCaptain Zawane kwaba uyena ke umuntu oba in charge yesini.
Yebo kwakuyena owayemkhulu khona.
That is correct, he was the senior.
Okay.
Yes.
And you also say, because Captain Zwane had already shown Mosia everything, we then decided to leave big bosses. That was your evidence yesterday, if I'm correct.
Uma ngizwe kahle ke ukuthi ke uthe izolo ke ngoba ke uzwane wayesemtshengise noma esemkhombise konke ke umsiya wase uthi ke nje ugama khona ugama olishila izolo ke induna ezinkulu ushilo ke izolo ukuthi nase kuthi nishiya zona ke bekufakazi bakho lo bizolo
ngicela ukubulungisa ufakazi bami.
Okay, correct.
May I just correct or rectify my evidence?
Sekufike umsiya sekufika uCaptain Zwane kwafika umsiya kwafika ke le team eyihamba no Brigadier Ndlovu.
Umsiya kwauzwane ne? Qala uzwane. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Captain Zwane arrived, and then Msia arrived, and thereafter the team arrived. Yebo?
Yes, I know that.
Yebo, sase siyacelwa ukuthi bakhuluma isilungu but we can be excused ngoba phela it's a high profile case le so ngeke iphathwe isiteshi. Sase siyaphuma ke kahle ke sishiya ke.
A request was then made, and it was made in English, that because this is now a high-profile matter, it cannot be handled by a police station. We are then excused. It's only then that we then went out.
Yeah, you also further said, because Captain Zwane had already shown Mosia everything in the crime scene, we decided to leave.
Okunye futhi okushila ukuthi ke izolo ke ukuthi ngoba ke uCaptain Zwane wayesembonise noma esemkhombise konke umsiya nathi sase sithatha ke isinqumo sokuthi asiphume noma sambe.
Yebo wayesemkhombisile uCaptain Zwane.
Yes, Captain Zwane had already showed him.
So it is not Brigadier Ndlovu who showed Mosia everything in the crime scene, but it was Captain Zwane.
Kusho ukuthi ke fakazi bakho ukuthi akusiyena uBrigadier Ndlovu owabonisa noma wakhombisa umsiya isini kwaku Captain Zwane.
Ngicela ukuchaza.
Explain.
Yes. uCaptain Zwane sahamba naye omunye wethu wahamba nathi.
Okay.
Kodwa izinto esasiyibonile thina sayibonisa uCaptain Zwane. uCaptain Zwane mayifika umsiya wambonisa lokho esesikutholile naye.
Ibambe lapho. When we left together with Captain Zwane. But the things that we saw, we then conveyed those there to Captain Zwane, and then Captain Zwane conveyed it to Mosia.
Yes, very good. We are on the same page. It is Captain Zwane who showed everything to Constable Mosia.
Sisendawonye ke ukusho ukuthi uZwane owakhombisa umsiya.
Yebo, base bayasala ke umsiya no ne team ke leyo ke.
Yes, and then Msia and the team remained behind.
And what is it exactly?
Just before I get confused, you say to whom did Captain Zwane explain what happened?
Uthi uZwane wacacisela bani, wachazela bani ukuthi kwenzekani?
Wabonisa umsiya.
Msia, my lord.
What exactly did Captain Zwane show to Mr. Mosia?
Yini lena uZwane ayibonisa umsiya?
Wayimbonisa lokho esesikutholile thina isigqoko projectile nanokuthi kunamakheninyana khona lapha ya.
He showed him what we had seen or what we found, that is now the projectile, the head, as well as the cans that were there.
Yes, and for Mr. Mosia to take the pictures because he's a photographer.
Nokuthi umsiya abe sethatha ke ithombe ngoba uyena iphotographer.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Were you still present when Mr. Mosia took the pictures?
Nani sekhona ke ngalesikhathi umsiya ethatha ithombe?
When he was showed by Captain Zwane.
Ngalesikhathi ekhonjiswa uyena uCaptain Zwane.
Ngalesikhathi sisakhombisana uCaptain besakhombisana nomsiya le team yafika. Sabe sesiphumile thina ngaleso sikhathi.
When Captain Zwane was showing Msia around and the team arrived, by then we were already outside.
Okay. Before you went out, when Captain Zwane was still showing Mosia, did you see if there were any pictures that Constable Mosia took as Captain Zwane was showing him?
Ngaphambilini ke ukuthi niphume ngalesikhathi uZwane emkhombisa ke umsiya. Ingabe nabona yini ukuthi nanjengoba uZwane emkhombisa ukuthi ikhona yini ithombe ngaphambilini kokuthi niphume umsiya awayithatha?
Ay ngikhona mina angaze ngithathe ithombe ngikhona ngase ngiphumile mina ethathe ithombe.
it never happened, or he never took pictures in my presence. I was already out when he took pictures.
Okay, can you comment on Exhibit A? A2, my lord. Page 3. I don't know if the witness still have Exhibit A, my lord, there.
It's not.
Exhibit A. A2.
Yes.
A2, page 3.
That is A what?
A2, my lord. It's Exhibit A, and then on page 3.
Yes.
My lord, can I just read it, because it's just a short sentence, if there are problems in beaming it in.
Okay, Mr. Mteto, listen to Advocate Shololo, because there are challenges with the technology.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes?
My lord, I'm reading on page 3 of Exhibit A, wherein it says, it's a statement of Thabo Johannes Mosia. It says, on 27 October 2014, at 0020, I attended a scene at 13511 Kuhlanong Street, Mzamo Section, Extension 11, Phosphorus, where I met Brigadier Ndlovu, who pointed out certain points to me, of which I took photographs.
Lana ke uthi ke statement sakhe uThabo Johannes Musia othi ke nge-27 zika October 2014 isikhathi ke 12 ebusuku ngaya ke kwiscene e13511 eKutlwanong Street eMzamo Section Extension 11 ePhosphorus la ngahlangana khona noBrigadier Ndlovu uyena ke owangibonisa ke ama points athile ngase ke ngithatha izithombe zabo.
Did you hear that?
Ukuzwile lokho?
Yebo ngikuzwile.
Yes, I did.
So is it true? Was it Brigadier Ndlovu, or was it Captain Zwane who pointed out?
Ingabe ke kuyiqiniso kwaku Brigadier Ndlovu noba uCaptain Zwane?
From your knowledge.
Ngolwazi lwakho.
Ayi ngaleso sikhathi thina ngathi sasese police station.
By this time, I would say that we were already at the police station.
But from your knowledge, according to your knowledge, the person who pointed out the points to Constable Masia was Captain Zwane.
Ngolwakho ulwazi wena ke uthi umuntu owakhombisa uSergeant Musia kwaku Captain Zwane.
In your presence.
Ukhona wena.
Ngikhona mina.
In my presence, yes.
Okay, thank you. Then let's. No, we're not done. We're still on this exhibit. I don't know if exhibit B can also be beamed. If there is a problem with A, or maybe we can use photo number 4. Of the same exhibit. Photo number 4 and photo number 8, do you see that? Yeah, thank you. That's photo number 8, my lord, of exhibit A. Do you see that, Sergeant?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yesterday you confirmed that you also noticed that at the crime scene, am I correct?
Ushilo nawe kubufakazi bakho ke bayizolo ukuthi nawe ke waqaphela lokhuyana ngalela langa.
Yeah.
That's correct.
What is depicted there?
Yini sibonani lapha ya?
Umnyango ulimele.
It's a damaged door.
Yes, how? What type of a damage is that one?
Umonakalo onjani?
When you look at it,
Ungathi khona into eshaye khona.
Let's say something hit there.
okay. So it was a bullet hit.
Ngathi kwashaya inhlamvu.
Ngokucabanga kwami kwaba ngathi yiyo mase sibona le sasibona phansi.
According to my thinking, when we saw that which we show on the floor, that's what I also thought, that it was hit by a bullet.
Excellent, Sergeant. You realized that there was a bullet hit or bullet hole or whatever the name you can call it. And there was a projectile on the floor, okay?
Kahle ke njengoba usho ke ukuthi wase wathi uyibona ke wacabanga ukuthi ke ishaywe inhlamvu nase noma wase ubona ke leya projectile leli phansi.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And at that, don't be depressed. And at that particular time, Constable Mosia had not arrived, Brigadier Ndlovu had not arrived. Am I correct?
Ngalesa sikhathi wayengekafika umsiya, wayengekafika noNdlovu futhi.
When you identified or when you recognized that hole.
Ngalesa sikhathi ubona lokhuyana babengekafika bobabili.
Hayi babengakafiki.
That is correct.
Okay, so how many were you at that time?
Ngalesa sikhathi ke nani bangaki?
Noma ngenaso isiqiniseko ukuthi wayesefikile nozwana ngoba washesha kakhulu uCaptain Zwana ngaphambi kokuba sifike.
Okay. Sorry.
Kwakuyimi uMakhumalo ucolleague wami. Ngingenaso isiqiniseko ukuthi uCaptain Zwana wayesefikile ngoba washesha naye.
Although I'm not certain, my lord, whether Captain Zwane had arrived or not, but Captain Zwane took very quick to get there, but it was myself, my colleague, and Makhumalo.
Oh, was it Makhumalo who was showing you the points?
Makhumalo wayenikhombisa lapha.
How did you discover that?
Nakuthola kanjani lokho?
Angithi asiboniswa uye phela engene endlini.
When she entered the house, she's the one who showed us.
Oh, okay. Now he had showed that hole, bullet hole, to a police officer.
Sorry.
Yes, you can interpret.
Manje ke uyena ke obonisa or noma ke ukhombisa amaphoyisa lokulimala lapha emnyango.
Yebo uye.
Yes, it was her.
And next to that hole, there is a counter there.
Kune counter ekhona ke lapha eduze lapha. What are you referring to by a counter?
Counter. There is a cupboard next to that curtain, and there is a counter of the cupboard.
Kune khabethe elikhona lapha then the counter ke khabethe.
Sink.
Referring to a sink.
Yeah. Look at that picture.
There's a picture there.
You see the cupboard there?
We have one.
Yeah, ngiyabona.
Yes, I do.
You see the top?
Ngiyabona phezulu lapha.
Hayi ngiyakubona.
Yes, I do.
Can you also show the one with the glasses depicting the cupboard and the door? No. Yes. You see that one?
Uyayibona leya?
Ngiyabona.
Yes, I do.
It's next to the door. Can you see that?
Iseduze komnyango
Or it's still not clear to you?
noma akabonakali kahle.
Ngiyabona.
I can see it.
Yeah. That cupboard, it's close to the hole that you recognized from the door that is close to that cupboard.
Manje ke la khabethe ubonayo lapha yana ne iseduze kakhulu noma lisondeleke kulomnyango lona wena ke othi wabona ukulimala kuwona.
Okay.
Okay?
After noticing that bullet hole, did you check if there were any exhibit on top of that counter?
Manje ke usubonileke noma senikubonileke lo kakulimala lapha yana emnyango ke ingaba ke nanjengoba la khabethe liseduze ke kuloya mnyango nabheka noma anizange nibheke yini ukuthi akukho nje okutholakalayo lapha yana.
Phebe khabethe.
Is it now on top of the cupboard?
Ngendlela esabheka ngayo thina sibona ngayo.
According to how we checked, we saw nothing.
And there was nothing.
Kwakungekho lutho.
Thank you.
Ngokubona kwethu thina.
According to-
Angithi asiwona ama experts asibheka nje.
According to how we saw, we are not experts, so we were just checking.
Don't worry, we have not been introduced as an expert. We are a constable. We are constable who attended the crime scene innocently. And you checked, you did not see any exhibit there.
Asikho ke lapho kubu expect nje ukuthi nani khona lapho ni ama constable kodwa ke ubheka nabheka anizange nibone lutho.
Hayi asibona ngalutho.
We saw nothing.
And you left the crime scene.
Nayishiya ke crime scene.
So ishiya nabantu angithi usho ukuqala ngisa understand.
Yeah, and you left.
I'm now not sure whether to which
You
occasion.
eventually left the crime scene without noticing any bullet, any exhibit there.
Naha engisho ukuthi nje nibhekile anabona lutho emuva ukuthi ningabonanga lutho ke nase nihamba ke nishi crime scene.
No, I'm saying this innocently, that you have said, yes, you did not see anything from your observation. Then I am saying that you then left after that.
Ngiyayisho nje ukuthi ke nibhekile nanjengoba usho ke anathola lutho. So emuva kokuthi nibhekile anathola lutho ke nase niyayihambela niyashiya nje. Ngaphendula.
Ngiyafuna ukuchaza la ngosenkantolo ukuthi iyangidida manje sethi sabheka sesithole yonke lokhu savele sahamba manje savele sahamba manje iyangidida kancane lapha.
I'm getting confused where
Ngicela sibe se page nello.
can you be on the same page because
My lord, can
it's
I
confusing
rephrase?
that we checked and we found nothing
Can I
and we just
rephrase, my
left.
lord?
Yes.
Thank you. You inspected the kitchen. This is a kitchen, okay?
Ikhishi lesilibona lapha yana nalibheka angithi.
Yebo sesikutholile okunye ngithi.
Yes, after we had found
Yes.
other items.
You were able to find other items, but on top of the counter, you did not find anything.
Kodwa lapha yana phezulu kwekhabethe leliyana anizange ngithole lutho.
Yebo kunjalo.
That's correct.
And after examining that kitchen, you left the house.
Emuva kokuthi ke nahlola noma nabheka lapha ke la khishi nase niphuma endlini.
Thina sacelwa zinduna ukuthi siphume.
The big bosses requested us to go
Yeah,
out.
but you eventually left the house
Kodwa nje naphuma.
Yebo.
Yes.
without discovering anything on top of that counter.
Ningazange nithole lutho phezulu kwale counter.
Yebo.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Tell me, had you not been told to leave, what would have happened to you?
Uma ngabe naningacelwanga ke induna ezinkulu ukuthi aniphume kwakuzokwenzekani?
Ukushuthi sasohlala esinini mayefika umsiya simbonise yonke into ngoba thina kahle kahle asikho umsebenzi wethu ukuthi sibheke konke nomunye mayefika naye uyabheka ukuthi utholani esinini.
Okay, asibambe lapho ke. What we were going to wait for Msia to arrive, my lord, and also with regards to us, we don't look for everything. It's so that when the other one or the next one arrives, that one also checks, my lord. Yebo?
Excellent.
Mayefika athathe ithombe kufike ne duty officer yenze yonke into senze idocket.
Okay.
Then sihambe register police station.
And then upon his arrival, he would take pictures. The duty officer would also came. Uthi nenzeni idocket ne?
Yes, mase siqedile ngesini ke ayike sivule ke sihambe siyo register idocket.
Then once we are done with the scene, we then go and register a docket.
Okay. It's fine. Excellent. We are still on the right track, Sergeant.
Usahamba kahle ke.
Yes.
Besides what was discovered by other police officers, by other members who came after you, you as the first person at the crime scene, you did not discover any exhibit on top of the cupboard.
Ngaphandle kwalokho okwatholwa amanye amaphoyisa afika emuva kwenu nina ke nanjengamaphoyisa okuqala ufika lapha yana phezulu kwalela khabethe anizange nithole lutho. No, we found nothing.
And even Makumalo did not find anything there.
No, Makumalo naye azange athole lutho. No, she saw nothing.
Oh, okay. That the other exhibits, who were showing you the other exhibits? Did you discover them on your own or you were showed by someone? The other exhibits.
Okay. Amanye ama exhibit noma bunye ubufakazi lo ngaba nayitholela nina noma nakhonjiswa.
Ngeke ngisho njenge project asayitholela thina isiqoko ne crashes sasingeke sazivela ukuthi okugabana up until kube khona umuntu ositshelayo ukuthi lokhu kwenzakale kanje kanje.
Okay. With regards to the projectile, we found it ourselves, but with regards to the head as well as the crash, we saw it, but we needed someone to explain to us. We wouldn't have known as to who those two items belonged to without anyone explaining to us.
Yeah, tell us now, how did you discover the head and the crashes?
Now, manje ke mase sikhuluma ngawo so ke isigqoko kanye nayo ke icrash lena ke nazithola kanjani zona.
Osathi mase sisibonile phansi kwasiyachaza ke uMakhumalo ukuthi lesigqoko i-suspect.
When we saw it there on the floor, that's when Makhumalo then told us that it was worn by the suspect.
Yeah.
Wasichazela nenduku lena ukuthi ihamba le ndoda yangasazigama la ekhala kakhulu lapha esibhedlela wathi ihamba yona.
And with regards to the crash, she explained to us there was this guy who was crying a lot there at the hospital, and she told us that that crash belonged to that guy.
Yes, is there anything that was said by Makhumalo besides that?
Ukhona okunye ngaphandleni kwalokho enakutshelwa uMakhumalo? No.
Okay. Whilst you were still there in the kitchen, did you see any blood stains in the kitchen?
Laphayana ke ekitchen ngalesi sikhathi ke nise laphayana ke ekitchen ke akhona ke ama spots egazi enawabona khona lapha ekitchen.
No,
In the kitchen, no, I did not see any.
Because they had been cleaned. Remember, there is Meyiwa who cleaned the crime scene before you arrived.
Ngoba ke kwakusekliniwe uma uyakhumbula ke kule statement befundiwe khona lana ke kuno Meyiwa owayeseklinile ke.
Ngaphambi kokuba ngifike kokuqala.
Yes, before I arrived for the first time.
So that's why you couldn't notice any blood stains.
Ingakho ke ungazange ulibone noma ningazange nilibone ke igazi noma ama blood stains ekitchen.
Hayi mawukuthi vele wayeseklinile uMeyi ngangeke libone.
If it is so, or it was so that Meyiwa had already cleaned, then I would not have seen it.
And where exactly in the house you noticed the cans?
Ama-can lana ke wona ke nawabona kuphi nendawo endlini.
Hey ngithi sitting room impela ngami sitting room dining room kodwa nje khona lapho nje eceleni.
I don't know whether it's the sitting room, it's the dining room, but just there, it was on the floor.
Okay, let's correct that. You are now going to know, okay? The kitchen room will have cupboards. That's a kitchen. You understand?
Ikhishi ke ileli elizoba ke ovele besilibonile ke kuzoba nekhabethe.
Okay.
Okay.
And the dining room, that's where there will be table and chairs.
Kuthi ke dining room ila kuzoba khona ke netafula kanye futhi nezitulo ke zokuhlala.
And then the sitting room, that's where there will be couches and a coffee table.
There?
Couches.
No, you said the dining or the sitting.
Sitting.
Okay, the sitting room ke ile yona ke izoba nama couch.
That's a sitting room.
Sofa. Shuthi kwakuyi sitting room ke leyo.
Okay, then the couches, which means then that was the sitting room.
I just want to assist you.
Ngifuna nje ukukusiza.
We're defining the rooms inside the house. There'll be a kitchen, dining room, sitting room, and the bedroom is the one with the bed, and the toilet is the one with the bath and the toilet seat.
Zama ke ukuthi ngichazeleke ama room lana ukuthi ami kanjani ke.
Oh hayi ngiyabonga especially lokhu sitting room ne dining room.
Thank you very much. And with regards to the dining room and the sitting room, it was just blank.
Yeah, where were the cans now?
Ayekuphi ke ama can. nanjengoba manje suchazelwe-ke ngalama-room
We now know.
ahlukene aye kuphi-ke ama-can.
Shooting zothi iyo phela sitting room.
I'm gonna say it was in the sitting room.
Okay. Were there any blood stains around the area where you noticed those 2 cans?
La wabona khona-ke lama-can amabili ayekhona yini ama-spots egazi.
Hey, khona aye khona into zegazi kodwa manje angisakhumbuli ngaku kodwa ngapha ngase dining room.
There were blood stains, but I can't remember where, but it was in the dining room side.
Okay. Do we have a dining room or a sitting room in that house?
Into mayisenzha uyashesha ukuphuma sitting room.
The sitting room. When it's new, you quickly forget. When something is new to you, you quickly forget. So
Yeah.
it was the sitting room.
Let's not confuse the record.
Yes?
Okay. And from the sitting room, you only found 2 cans, nothing else.
Laphaya sitting room, wathola nje lama-can amabili, lutho kunye. We didn't find anything else.
Okay. Did you inspect the house, the premises outside the house?
Ngaphandle endlini ingaba khona nahlola yini nabheka?
Yasabheka.
Yes, we did.
Did you find anything?
Khona nakuthola? No.
Also, in your examination in chief, you mentioned that you got information that the suspects ran towards the park.
Ushilo-ke kubufakazi bakho izolo ukuthi-ke natshelwa-ke ukuthi ama-suspect lana-ke abaleka aya ngase-park.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you followed that information.
Nalandela-ke kulokho.
Yeah, basalande.
Yes, we did.
How was the visibility there at the park?
Laphayana epark-ke indlela yokubona-ke noma asithi-ke ukhanya noma kwakubonakala nje kanjani.
Kwakubonakala nje kahle.
It was good.
Did you check if there were any people there?
Nabheka yini ukuthi kwakunabantu ababekhona
Before
lapho.
that, at that time, what assisted to the visibility?
Kwakuyini-ke elekelelayo ukuthi kubonakale nje kahle.
Iveni esihamba ngayo ikhona amalayithi ewashayo lapha phezulu sasikhanyise wona.
The lights, the van that we were traveling in, the lights that there are lights at the top, so those lights were on.
Then through the light that was provided by those lights, you were unable to get the suspects.
Niwasebenzisile-ke lo ma-lights lawo anizange ama-suspect niwathole.
Azani kukhona ke napha nelantingana namalantingana ukukhanyisa ama street light.
There were street lights as well.
But you did not find anyone.
Konke lokho-ke anizange nibathole. No, we didn't.
Tell me, were you able to find out how long after the incident you arrived at the house?
Ingabe nakwazi yini ukuthi nithole ukuthi ukufika kwenu nina laphayana kwakusemuva kwesikhathi esingakanani kwenzekile lokho?
Noma ngingasenaso isiqiniseko sesikhathi kodwa lo mama ngithi wathi 30 minutes or 15 minutes nje usuphelile impela kwenzakele.
Okay. Although I am not certain, but I think that lady told us that it was already 30 minutes, my lord.
Yes.
And after that 30 minutes, how long did it take you to arrive at the crime scene?
Emuva kwalowo 30 minutes-ke kwanithatha isikhathi esingakanani ukuthi nifike ninake kwi-crime scene?
Mhlambe kwaba 8 to 10 minutes. 8 to 10 minutes mhlambe.
Maybe 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Let's go back a little bit. My lord, can I ask that we just take the long adjournment so that I can finish up the last round of questions after lunch?
Mr. Mteto, we are adjourning. We'll be back at 2.
Sizobuya ngo-2 ke mfethu sezwana.
Please try and adhere to that timing.
Sicela ke isikhathi leso ke usibheke ne.
Yeah.
Understood my lord.
Mr. Mteto, are you still under oath?
Sikhumbuzeke usiphansi kwesifungo sakhe nemithetho.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. Sergeant Teto, yesterday you said Makumalo came with the hat from the lounge and showed it to you.
Izolo ke uthe uMakhumalo weza naso isigqoko ebuya naso e-lounge wanikhombisa sona.
Did I get you correct?
Ngikuzwe kahle yini? Sorry. Cha. No.
What did you say about Makumalo coming with the hat to you?
Utheni ke izolo manje nesigqoko noMakhumalo eza naso kini?
Ngithe uMakhumalo uye osikhombisa isigqoko phansi.
I said Makhumalo is the one who pointed the hat to us whilst it was on the floor.
Oh, okay. You did not say that she came with the hat from the lounge
Awushongo ukuthi uze naso ebuya e-lounge.
and showed it to
No.
you.
Yes.
Okay. And then from the statement of Mr. Mosia, Exhibit D, my lord.
Come again.
From the statement of Mr. Mosia, Exhibit D, paragraph 5, he says, at about 00:20 on 27 October, I arrived at the crime scene.
Oh,
At about
Sorry, my lord.
At about what time?
00:20
Yes.
past 12, my lord. 27 October, I arrived at the crime scene.
Istatement esakhe noma umele ufunda kusona ke istatement esakhe umsiya la athi khona ngo 20 past 12 ebusuku nge-27 ka-October 2014 ukufika kwakhe kwisini.
And yesterday you said at that time you had already left the crime scene and you were at the station.
Izolo ke uthe nina ke ngaleso sikhathi leso nase nihambile kwisini senise police station.
Hayi impela mangikhumbula kahle after 12 sasese police station.
Indeed, if I remember correctly, after 12 we were already at the police station.
So the evidence of Mr. Mosia is not correct because he did not arrive at that time.
Uma ngabe umsiya ebhale kanjalo ke ukuthi yena wafika ngaleso sikhathi kusho ukuthi lokho akubhalile akusilona iqiniso ukuthi wafika ngaleso sikhathi yena ngo 20 past 12.
Angazi kuye.
I don't know from him.
Yeah. But what do you say if he says he arrived at 12? Is it true or not?
Wena ke uthini ke uma ngabe yena ethi ufike ngo 12 iqiniso noma akusilona iqiniso?
Angimazi yena ngeke ngamkhulumela mina kimi ay ngo 12 after 12 ngase ngise police station.
I cannot speak on his behalf. I don't know, my lord. But with regards to myself, after 12, I was already at the police station.
According to you, when did he arrive at the crime scene?
Ngokusho kwakho ke wena wafika nini yena kwi crime scene?
Noma nginenazo isiqiniseko sesikhathi kodwa after 12 or mase kuyosha 11 somewhere lapho.
Although
Not sorry.
Okay.
Ngiyaxolisa. Hayi after 12. After 10 or to 11. Ngiyaxolisa.
Okay. Although I don't have certainty with regards to that, must have been after 12, before 11. So after 10, before 11.
He arrived at the crime scene.
Ukufika kwakhe lokho ufika kwakhe kwi crime scene.
Yebo noma nginaso isiqiniseko sesikhathi ukuthi exactly ufike ngasiphi kodwa bese shayela u10 mhlobo ke ushaya u11 or bese shayela lapho nje.
Yes, my lord. Although I am not certain with regards to the time, but it was after 10, before 11.
So it's not 12.
So akusiyena u12.
Hayi u12 hayi nami ngasesekho.
By 12, I was no longer there.
And at 2200 hours, that is when your statement was commissioned.
Ngo-10 ke ebusuku 2200 isikhathi leso ke istatement sakho esacommissionwa ngaso.
Where was it commissioned?
Yeah, kwenzeka kuphi lokho?
Okay, isikhathi lesa izolo ngiyazi ukuthi ngithe ngo22 isikhathi engicommission ngaso i-statement sami.
Yes.
But lesa sikhathi yiso engiqale ngaso ukubhala i-statement.
All right. Okay. All right. I was just confused there, my lord. I know that yesterday I said that my statement was commissioned at 10, but by 10, that's when I started to write my statement.
So it's not correct what you said yesterday.
So okushilo izolo bengasilona iqiniso.
Yeah, isikhathi lesa ese-commission lapha.
That is correct with regards to the commissioning time.
And then you also, in your testimony yesterday, said when you asked Temba what had happened, he said he doesn't know, but there's been a shooting and a fight.
Before that, what time was it commissioned?
Uthi ke sa commissioner ngabani isikhathi?
Fika kwami station ngithi station ngafika nganoma ngo2:12 or 11:30 lapho engakhomisha khona i-statement sami.
Okay, my lord, I'm not certain as to whether I arrived at the station at 11:30 or before 12. That is the time on which my statement was commissioned.
So what is written in your statement is wrong.
So lokho statement sakho.
The time that is written that the statement was commissioned at 2200 hours.
Lokuthi isikhathi sorry, i-statement sa commissionwa ngo-2200 ngo-10 ebusuku.
Lesa isikhathi engisibhale lapha kwi-commission isikhathi engiqale ngaso ukubhala i-statement sami.
The time that I wrote it there on the statement is the time on which I started to write my statement.
Listen, I'm referring to the time when the statement was commissioned, when there is a stamp here. It doesn't say I started writing this statement at 10. It says the statement was certified true and correct at 2200 hours. I am saying, so it means this time that you wrote here is wrong.
Mina ngikhuluma ngalokho okulaphana ku-statement ukuthi i-statement sa-commissionwa kwathiwa ke siyiqiniso noma ke siyi-correct ngo-2200 ngo-10. So ngisho ukuthi uma ngabe wena uthi-ke azange si-commissionwe ngaleso sikhathi ukuthi lokhu kuyakubhalwe laphayana ku-wrong.
Wrong uma ithi ngasi-commissioner ngo-10.
It is incorrect if it says that I commissioned it at 10.
So what is written here is wrong. Do you agree?
So ke uyavuma ukuthi okubhalwe laphayana ku-wrong? No.
Why?
Ngoba ngani?
Akukho wrong engikubhalile lapha.
It says this statement was commissioned at 2200 hours.
No, kubhalwe laphayana. Sorry.
I'm asking you if this, what is written here, is correct or is wrong.
Uthi okubhalwe laphayana ngokumayelana nesikhathi ecommissioning kubhalwe laphayana ku-statement ukuthi si-commissioning ngo-10. So uma ngabe kubhalwe kanjalo laphayana ukuthi si-commissioning ngo-10 ukuthi leyo nje indawo ethi si-commissioning ngo-10 i-wrong.
Sathi masifika sesiqedile ukubhala lapha e-police station savumelana ukuthi ne-colleague yami no ithi sibhale isikhathi la kwi-commission esiqale ngaso ukubhala i-statement.
Okay, sorry. Upon arrival at the police station, myself and my colleague agreed that let us write the time, when it comes to the commissioning, let us write the time on which we started to write our statement.
Initially, I asked you what is the highest level of education. It's because I wanted to understand these things. I'm asking something from you that I'm not sure whether we are able to comprehend or not. The statement says it was commissioned at 2200 hours. We are unable to verify or to confirm that. Just a simple thing.
Into nje na ke elula ke lena ke ongakwazi ukuthi ngiphendule kuyona yila ngakho ke eqaleni ngikubuzileke ukuthi ngumayelana nesikole ke ufunde wayo phela kuphi ngoba kulula nje lokho engikubuza kona ngazi nokuthi awukwazi nje ukuthi nje ukuhlanganise yini noma ungizwe uma ngikubuza.
Any comment?
Khona ufuna ukusho? No comment.
Thank you. Let's move on. Yesterday, in your examination in chief, you mentioned that when you talked to Themba Khumalo inside the house, he did not give you much information, but he said there had been a shooting and people were fighting.
Izolo kubufakazi bakho uthe uma uchaza wathi ke uThemba Khumalo akwazanga ukuthi anitshele okuningi wathi nje kwakudutshulwana futhi kuliwa.
Am I correct?
Kunjalo.
bekudutshulwana
There was a shooting.
Yes. Am I correct?
Kunjalo.
ukuthi kube nesibhamu khona.
That is correct that there was a firearm.
And also, people were fighting.
Nokuthi ke abantu babelwa.
Hayi ngiyizolo ngilungisile lokho ukuthi no eyokula ngicela bese
Cela bese.
no eyokula ngishilo kona seyizolo ukuthi hayi eyokula akazayifaka.
I did rectify that yesterday with regards to the fighting, that one should not be, he didn't mention it.
Oh, he did not mention it.
Akayisho. No, he didn't.
Okay. Then lastly, in Mr. Mosia's statement, my lord, I'm just going to read it just to save the court time. Mr. Mosia's statement in Exhibit D, my lord, paragraph 10. If you can just listen.
Exhibit
carefully.
what?
Exhibit D, my lord.
Yes.
Exhibit D, paragraph 10.
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. I'll just read it. Oh. Read it. Okay. My lord, can I just read it even if the witness does not have it? I will read it slowly.
All right.
Thank you, Madam. Paragraph 10 of Mr. Mosia's statement. The incident of a murder scene was reported 4 hours later, and the crime scene address was not yet known on the time it was reported to me. Instead, I was told to go to hospital. All the delays before reporting the matter to relevant role players. Just listen to this. All the delays before reporting the matter to relevant role players might have compromised the murder crime scene.
Lana ke istatement lesi sika Sergeant Umsiya uthi ke isehlakalo lesi sokubulala ke sachazwa ke kumina noma ngathi reportelwa ke emuva kwamahora amane. Futhi ke i-address ye crime scene ngangekayazi ngaleso sikhathi leso ngiwuthola umbiko lona kodwa ngatshelwa ke ukuthi angiye esibhedlela. Konke ke ukulibaziseka okwengaphambilini kokuthi ke kuchazwe lokhu noma kureportwe kubantu ke abafanele kungenzeka ke ukuthi kona ke kwaphazamisa noma kwaba nokuphazamisa okuba khona kwi-murder crime scene noma ke kwi-scene leyana ke yesehlakalo sokubulala.
Okay, can we split the lines for you to comment? The first 2 lines refers to the incident of a murder scene reported 4 hours later. Do you understand that?
Oh, sorry. Ngicela ke singayihlanganisike nesizothatha ngokulandelana kwayo ke lemica. Eyoqala ke emibili ke ukhuluma ngesehlakalo lesi sokubulawa esachazwa emuva kwamahora amane. Uyakuzwa lokho?
Yebo ngiyakuzwa.
Yes, I understand it.
What is your comment to that?
Uthini wena kulokho?
That the crime scene was, that the incident of murder was reported 4 hours later.
Ukuthi ke isehlakalo lesi sachazwa emuva kwamahora amane.
Do you agree with Mr. Mosia there?
Ingabe uyavumelana yini naye umnumzana Mosia lapha ya?
Angivumelani naye.
I disagree.
Okay. And then let's move on to the third last paragraph lines. All the delays before reporting the matter to relevant role players might have compromised the murder crime scene.
Konke ke ukulibaziseka okungaphambilini kokuthi ke isehlakalo lesi sichazwe kubantu abafanele kungenzeka ke ukuthi kungabe kwaphazamisana nendawo yesehlakalo ngomagama ke ne crime scene leyana ke yemurder.
Do you agree with Mr. Mosia there?
Ingabe uyavumelana yini naye umnumzana Mosia lapho? Uthi ke ukulibaziseka ne ukuthi kwalijaziswa ukuthi ke lokhu kuchazwe kubantu abafanele angithi kunabantu ekufanele beze kwi crime scene. So uthi ke lokho kokuthi ke kuthatha isikhathi eside ukuthi lokho kuchazwe kungenzeka ke ukuthi kwabangela ukuthi I crime scene leyana ke kube khona ukuthi kube khona okwenzekayo kuyona iphazamiseke. leyo nto ibangelwa ukulibaziseka ngamanye amagama isikhathi eside lesesathathu ukuthi ireport uyavumelana naye noma uvumelana naye. I know nothing about this, let me not comment.
Okay, the crime scene was not reported. There was no delay in reporting the crime scene.
Kwakungekho ukulibaziseka ekuthini kuchazwe ngale crime scene.
Hey, thina nje saba fast afonele CSC basibuyisele report futhi maphaphu uthi hayi sebafonele Springs babuphi yes.
We were fast. We contacted Mapafu. Mapafu came back to us and told us that he had informed them. I'm not sure whether in Springs or where.
So he's not telling the truth. Mr.
Ukusho ukuthi
Moseng.
umsiya akakhuluma iqiniso.
Because you reported early.
Ngoba ke na reporter ngesikhathi.
I thina side let's
Who reported early?
I mean the police, because the evidence of this witness, my lord, is that they liaised with someone who was at the station to summon all the stakeholders, including the photographer.
Answer?
Can you repeat the question, advocate? Just repeat the
He
question.
disagrees, whether he disagrees with Ms. here, that the crime scene might have been compromised because
Of the delays.
there were delays in the report.
Ufuna ukwazike lana ukuthi nanjengoba la umsiya ethi ke ukulibaziseka noma ke ukulitshaziswa kokuthi ku reportwe ngesikhathi lokho kwangabangela noma ngabangela ukuthi kube nokuphazanyiswa noma kube khona nje okwenzakalayo kwindawo leyo yesehlakala. Ufuna ukwazi ukuthi uyavumelana nomsiya lapho noma awuvumelani naye. I have no comment, my lord.
Very good. Yesterday, when you were cross-examined by the legal representative for accused 1 to 4, when you were cross-examined by legal representative of accused 1 to 4 under cross-examination, you never mentioned anything about the cell phone being taken, or you never mentioned anything that Makumalo said the cell phone also was taken.
Izolo ke nkathi, sorry.
We recall that we led this witness on the basis that no hearsay evidence will be led. They elicited that, out of their own bed today.
There you are. Yesterday we had this issue, and I think he diverted from the line because I think both of you did raise issues about the fact that it comprises hearsay. I remember even talk of expunging.
Expunging that portion of evidence, my lord?
Yes.
Oh, my apologies, my lord. I'll just withdraw that question. Thank you, my lord. Those are my questions.
Re-examination.
As the court pleases, my lord, if I can ask that photo 4 of Exhibit A be shown. Sergeant Ntetwa, Advocate Nshololo, asks you as whether you checked for the cartridge.
That's photo 4 of Exhibit
A.
Yes.
Advocate Nshololo asks you as whether you checked on top of the cupboard for the cartridge. You mentioned that you checked, but you saw nothing.
Ubuziwe ke Sergeant umthetho uyena uadvocate Mshololo futhi uhlala phansi manje ukuthi ngaba nabheka yini phezulu le khabethe nibheka icartridge washo ke wena ukuthi nabheka kodwa nizange ngithole lutho.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Can you indicate where did you check?
Ungakwazi ukusho ke ukuthi nabheka kuphi?
Kushuthi ukubheka kwethu kwakubheka nesibuka hayi ukuthi sasusa izinto senza but ukubheka nesibuka.
It was just looking, my lord, not that we were removing stuff. We just looked.
Ngoba kwakunezitsha lapha esinkini kunezinto nje eziningi.
There were a lot of stuff there in the sink, so there were quite a lot of items.
Yes. But are you able to show there on the photo where you checked? Is it on the left-hand side of the photo or the right-hand side?
Uyakwazi usitshela ubhekile lapha kulesa sithombe ukuthi naphi kuphi indawo kuside la ku right noma kuside la ku left lapha kulela khabethe.
Sasibhekela lapha ngasemabhodweni naseteteleni lapho kwakunezitsha nje.
It was on the side of the pots as well as the kettle because on this side it was just full of items on this on the left side.
Yes.
It was on the side where the pots are.
Are you able to show there, or are you not in a position to show?
Sorry to interrupt, we request that photo to be zoomed, or so that we can see what he's talking about when he said castle. Can maybe zoomed, your lordship? Or
I can't hear you.
May the photo be zoomed, or else there's another better photo.
Is it possible to zoom the photo?
Do you remember whether it was on the site where you found those exhibits that are shown in photo 4, or was it on the other side?
Uyakhumbula ke ukuthi kwakuleli hlangothi leli la ngathola khona lama exhibits abonakala lapha noma kwakulinye side.
Asatheka khona ngapha kuleli hlangothi lolo.
Kuphi lona?
Lolo onezimo.
Oh, on the other side there with the items that one can see. Lezi ibonakala lapha.
Yeah.
Izinto lezi phansi noma lezi phezulu, sorry.
Amabhode lawo.
Okay, where the pots are.
Is it on the site where the exhibits are?
Well, the
So,
witness has
okay.
already indicated. The witness has already answered.
Thank you, Your Lordship. And the state is leading the witness now.
No, sorry, Malo, I can't see properly. Can you just maybe indicate where you, on the photo, where you checked?
Khombe nje lapha la uthi nabheka khona. Khombe nje.
Sabheka nje.
Yes. Thank you. Advocate Mshololo, on behalf of accused number 5, also asked you as to whether you saw when Sergeant Musia took photos. You mentioned that you were already out of the house at that stage. Is that correct?
Ukubuzile ke advocate Mshololo ukuthi wabona yini ngesikhathi Sergeant Musia ethathe ithombe waphendula wathi wena ke wawuse ungaphandle wawuse uphumile endlini ngaleso sikhathi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you know who made the pointings out to him?
Ngabe ke lo uyazi ke noma ungazi ke uma uthi wawuse ungaphandle ukuthi ubani ke owayemkhombisa indawo noma wayikhonjiswa ubani umsisi.
Okunye wayisemkhombisile uCaptain Zwane. So sesiyaphuma ngoba noCaptain Zwane wahamba nathi. So angazi wasale sekhonjiswa ubani ke okunye nje yonke.
Some of the things were already pointed out to him by Captain Zwane, but then Captain Zwane went out together with us. So I don't know who pointed out the other stuff or items to him when we were already left the house.
When he was taking photos, you were already out of the house.
Nanseniphumeleke endlini ngalesikhathi yena esethatha ithombe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Captain Zwane?
Captain Zwane,
Wayiphume nathi.
he went out with us.
Again, in cross-examination by Advocate Mshololo, you mentioned that you did see the cans when you were in the house for the first time, but you didn't see the water.
Ushilo futhi ke ukuthi ngakuzo yena ke advocate umsholo ukuthi ama-cans lana wawabona nkathi usendlini ngesikhathi sokuqala kodwa ke amanzi awuzange wabona.
Yebo ayengekho.
Yes.
That's correct, there was no water.
And when you returned for the second time, did you see those very same cans?
Nkathi ke senibuya okwesibili ke waphinda lawo ama-can lawo wawabona futhi.
Yebo.
Yes.
For how long were you in the house when you went in for the first time?
Ngalesi sikhathi ningene okokuqala kwaba isikhathi esingakanani niphakathi endlini?
Isikhathi esincane ukungena nje sajika futhi.
A very short time. We just went in and then we turned back again.
And over and above what Mr. Temba Kumalo told you that he had no information, did you see any visible signs of any commission of a crime?
Ngaphandleni kwalokho uchilo moswathi umnumzana uThemba Khumalo kwangena information aninikeze yona noma wayengazi lutho. Ngaphandleni kwalokho ke kwakukhona nje okubonakalisayo noma izimpawu ezikhona zokuthi kukhona icrime eyenzekile la.
Ayisifike kokuqala kwakunzima ukubona nalokho.
When we got there or when we arrived there for the first time, it was difficult to even see that.
Yes.
In a question by Advocate
You say it
Mshololo,
was difficult to see what?
Kwakunzima ukubonani?
Ukuthi khona yini kwakwenzakele lapha.
That something had happened there.
Yes.
on the question by Advocate Mshololo as to whether you saw the beer bottles, you answered that you didn't see them when you went there for the first time.
Kumbuzo wakhe ke uadvocate Mshololo ukuthi amabhodlela ebeer wawabona yini, waphendula wena ke wathi inkathi uya okokuqala awabonanga.
Amabhodlela kabeer ngwabonanga.
I did not see beer bottles.
And when you went there for the first time, did you see any beer bottles?
Inkathi uya okokuqala wawabona.
Khona amabhodlela namakheni. Into engayibona amakheni hayi amabhodlela.
There are bottles, there are cans. I never saw bottles, I only saw cans.
Yes. You never saw bottles on both occasions.
Awuzange wabona amabhodlela niya okokuqala ngenkathi nibuye kwesibili.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes.
The student police officers that you, the student police officers that you mentioned, were they accompany you all the time?
Ama-students la nanihamba nawo ke amaphoyisa ingabe babehamba nani ngaso sonke isikhathi
Even when you returned to the house with Makumalo?
nangalesi sikhathi futhi senibuyele endlini nihamba noMakhumalo.
Sabashiya esibhedlela besiza laba abanye ngoba kwasekugcwele kakhulu.
We left them at the hospital because they were assisting the others because it was now packed or it was full
Yes.
of people there at the hospital.
You also mentioned that you work in pairs as police officers, is that correct?
Ushilo nokuthi ke nisebenza ngambili ke njengamaphoyisa angithi.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Are the trainee police officers allowed to take part in any duties that you perform?
Ingabe ke kumisebenzi noma kumsebenzi eniwenzayo ke laba bona ke abase ama students noma ke ama trainees bavumelekile yini ukuthi uma ngabe kunomsebenzi eniwenzayo nabo babe ingxenye nabo basebenze?
ayibodwa kodwa kukhona a senior member kubo.
Not alone, there must be or there has to be a senior member with them.
Advocate Mshololo also put it to you that the crime scene was attended by 2 constables. When you're on duty, is there any differentiation regarding the attendance of scenes?
Okunye futhi akushilo ke uadvocate Mshololo ukuthi ke isini leyana kwaya abo constable ababili. Ingabe ke uma nikwisini ke kukhona nje ukwahlulana ke?
Akukho, ayikho politics.
No, there isn't. There is no politics.
Yes.
And just finally, in cross-examination by counsel for accused 1 to 4, you mentioned that this is now regarding your statement. You mentioned that you prepare a draft and leave the names of the role players. Is that correct?
Ushilo ke uma ngabe bubuzwa ke umeli kaMangalelo wokuqala kuyofika uMangalelo wesine ukuthi uma ngabe ke wenza ke istatement uyasibhala ke usushiya indawo la khona ke kufanele ufake amagama ama role players.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes.
And you also testify that you started with this exercise of compiling your statement at 2200 hours.
Ushilo ke nokuthi ke uqale ukwenza lokho ke ukuthi uqale ubhala istatement ngo10 ebusuku.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So when did you complete your affidavit in the sense of completing the names of the role players?
So usiqedelela nini ke ukuthi ufake ke amagama lawo ke ebesasele engekafaka.
Noma ngingasenase iqiniseko sesikhathi kodwa ufika kukaMsiya ila engavala khona istatement esami.
Although I'm not certain about the time, but upon Msiya's arrival, that's when I completed my statement.
And
You filled in the you filled in the names.
Wasu ufaka magama.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And on question by the court as to what time it was commissioned, you said it was between 2230 to 2400 hours.
Uthe uma ubuzwa ke ngesikhathi
£10 and 12 o'clock.
Uthe uma ubuzwa ke ngesikhathi sokuthi was commissioner nini ke wathi kwakuphakathi ko 11:30 uthi uthe manifike police station phakathi ko 11:30 no 12.
Singathi 11:30 not to 12.
Okay, I would say 11:30 and not 12.
Are you able to say more or less what time you left the scene?
Oh, yakhona ke ukuthi usitshele ukuthi isikhathi wahamba noma nahamba ngaso kwisini ukuthi kwakusikhathi sini.
I'm sure because 11:30 vele ngase 11:30 ngiya ku 12 ngase ngise police station.
Between 11:30 to 12, I was already at the police station.
Did you go back to the scene again after you had gone to the police station?
Emuva kokuthi ke wahamba wabuyela police station, ngaba waphinda wabuyela futhi kwisini.
Angibani ngisabuyela.
No, I didn't go back.
Advocate Mshololo asked you about the arrival of Sergeant Musia, and you mentioned that it could have been between 2200 hours and 2300 hours, but that you are not certain of the time.
Ubuziwe ke uadvocate Mshololo mayelana nesikhathi abafika ngaso uMsiya wathi wena ke kuphakathi ko10 no 11 kodwa nje awunaso isiqiniseko saso isikhathi abafika ngaso uMsiya.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. Those are the aspects that wanted to take up with the witness.
Mr. Mtetra, we thank you for having come to testify. We now excuse you.
Siyabonga ke ngokuthi uzile umzana uMthetho ukuthi uzonikeza ubufakazi inkantolo isiyakudedela ke manje. Uqedile. Sure.
Please, there isn't much left by way of court time. May we then adjourn at this stage until Monday. Monday will be the 12th of September for continuation of the proceedings.
Please rise. The accused. This case is postponed over the weekend to Monday, the 12th of September 2022, with you in custody.
Qala ke lehlehlisa bafethu kuze kube ngomsombuluko i-12 September sizo ngo-10 ekseni.
It is postponed for further hearing.
Sizoqhubeka ke nobufakazi ngomsombuluko.
All right.